History is not a complete record. It is a damaged archive. Across the world, there are places that feel out of place. In time structures, objects, and traces that do not belong to the era assigned to them. They refuse to fit established timelines, known tools, or even human intention itself. What makes them unsettling is not their size or beauty, but their silence. There are no inscriptions explaining their purpose, no records naming their builders, and no clear reason why they were abandoned. These remnants point to something deeply uncomfortable, the possibility that entire chapters of human knowledge were erased, forgotten, or deliberately ignored. Tonight we explore ancient anomalies that remain unresolved, not as myths, but as unanswered questions still standing in plain sight. Amidst silent lands, where the wind sweeps the dust of time across centuries long forgotten, there lie secrets never written into any name. Not the radiant pyramids under the desert sun, nor the towering walls that defy the sky. These are scattered colossal stones, abandoned and wild, like relics from an unfinished dream of the past. The Yanangu Quarry megaliths is such a place. Here the presence of massive monolithic stones, cut apart and left behind in the embrace of nature, inevitably leads anyone to wonder who created them. For what purpose were they quarried and then abandoned? And could it be that beneath these stones lies a secret that history has deliberately kept hidden until now? What do you think is the real story behind these abandoned megaliths? Share your theory in the comments below. At Yanangu Quarry, these giant megaliths, some weighing up to several hundred tons, stand alone in nature, mostly in a state of abandonment, as if they were left behind by some mysterious civilization. What baffles archaeologists, engineers, and even non-mainstream researchers the most is not the extraction technique or the strange traces of craftsmanship, but rather that no one knows what these stones were actually made for, where they were meant to be transported, or what purpose they served in the past. Unlike many other megalithic sites worldwide, where stones were used to build temples, tombs, monuments, or ritual structures, at Yanangu, there are no traces of any ancient architecture built from these stones in the vicinity or even within dozens of kilometers. In fact, historical records, folklore, or local legends hardly mention them at all. All that remains for posterity is an unfinished picture stones that were carefully cut and shaped, yet left quietly among nature, exposed to the wear of time and wind. On the stones at Yanangu, people have found many marks of quarrying and workmanship. Razor-sharp cuts, perfectly flat surfaces, even right angles so precise that they astonish modern viewers. In some places, traces of round boreholes or deep uniform grooves remain, something far beyond the capabilities of stone, copper, or even primitive iron tools used by contemporary cultures. So what kind of technology did those who shaped these stones use? Some theories suggest they possessed techniques similar to Baalbek or Aswan, where the marks left on stone are still a great mystery yet to be decoded. Did they once have special machinery, or did they possess a secret lost to modern times? Why did they quarry such enormous stones and then abandon them, never moving them to build any structure we know of? Another major point of intrigue is the isolated location of Yanangu Quarry. This area is far away, separated from any major known ancient settlements. There are no ancient roads, no traces of carts, and certainly no foundation of large structures nearby. If the goal was to extract these giant stones for use elsewhere, then how could they have transported these stone monsters weighing tens, even hundreds of tons, over rugged terrain without wheels, pulleys, or modern engines? For hundreds of years, researchers have searched for answers. Some believe this was a central quarry, providing material for massive construction projects yet to be discovered. Others suspect it was just a site for technical experimentation, or served some kind of mystical ritual where creating giant stones was proof of power strength or religious faith far beyond ordinary understanding. On the ground, many large stones at Yanangu show signs of being left unfinished. Some have been almost completely cut, just waiting to be moved out. Yet they remain forever at their original spot. Others still bear marks of tools, grooves, and boreholes, but there is absolutely no sign of further transportation. This has led many researchers to hypothesize a great event, perhaps an earthquake outbreak, sudden conflict, or even a natural disaster that caused the whole project to be abandoned in an instant. Some believe this unfinished state was intentional, and that the process of quarrying and shaping these giant stones was itself part of a ritual, a message, or a function that posterity cannot fathom today. Perhaps the greatest enigma at Yanangu Quarry is not the technique, the technology, or even the historical narrative, but rather what was the final purpose of these stones? If they were crafted for construction, why are there no large buildings in the area made from them? If for religious or ceremonial use, why were they abandoned, left incomplete, and with no sign of accompanying worship? If this was just an ordinary quarry, why did ancient people choose to extract such absurdly huge stones, defying all logic for transportation and installation in that era? Many theories have been proposed. Some say Yanangu was a training ground for stonemasons, a place for ancient people to experiment with new techniques on the largest stones possible. Others see it from a spiritual perspective as a gate to the heavens, or sacred place where the process of quarrying giant stones was itself a ritual to communicate with the gods, ancestors, or the universe. An even more extreme hypothesis is that Yanangu was a transit station where stones were gathered before being moved to build secret structures, possibly related to civilizations not yet recorded in official history. Notably, there is no archaeological evidence, ancient writing, or local legend that clearly refers to Yanangu Quarry or its role in the region's history. The site remains a blank spot in the records, leaving future generations with unanswered questions. When compared with other giant quarries worldwide like Baalbek Aswan or Ollantaytambo, people cannot help but notice remarkable similarities. All have huge monolithic stones, traces of craftsmanship far beyond the age's known capabilities, and many unfinished stones with unknown reasons for abandonment. And like Yanangu, these sites are also at the center of legends that remain unsolved. This raises a bigger question. Could there have been a global megalithic building tradition, or an ancient civilization possessing knowledge and techniques far beyond our current understanding, spreading this construction art to various lands across Earth? If so, is Yanangu Quarry one of the last links of a lost knowledge network? To this day, Yanangu Quarry megaliths have never been thoroughly excavated. No large-scale restoration or multidisciplinary study has published any definite conclusions. All that posterity has are sparse records, a few geological surveys, photos of giant stones lying exposed in the wilderness, and countless unanswered questions. Perhaps it is precisely the lack of ancient documents, legends, finished architectural traces, or even the tiniest clue about who did it, for what, that makes Yanangu one of the most fascinating mysteries for archaeologists, speculative researchers, and those passionate about lost civilization topics. The true purpose of the stones at Yanangu Quarry remains a great unsolved mystery. Their very presence serves as a reminder of the limits of our understanding of history. Yanangu Quarry is not just a collection of massive rocks in the wild, it represents humanity's desire to explore and challenge every theory about ancient technique, purpose, and thinking. Will the secret of this place ever be uncovered, or will it forever remain one of humanity's unanswered questions. On the arid plains northwest of Baghdad, amid an endless sea of sand, the silhouette of the ziggurat of Archaeological stands tall as an eternal symbol of a bygone age. This structure is not only a colossal architectural relic over 3,000 years old, but also the epicenter of fierce debates in archaeological and scientific circles regarding its true origins and the construction technologies that seem to surpass the abilities of that era. Behind every brick, every step, and every crack worn by time are profound questions that have yet to be satisfactorily answered, questions about who truly built this wonder, what knowledge they possessed, and whether certain secrets were forever buried with the Kassite civilization. What do you think? Could ancient builders have used lost technology or outside help to construct the ziggurat of Archaeological? Share your theories in the comments below. The ziggurat of Archaeological was built around the 14th century BCE, associated with the Kassite dynasty, a mysterious kingdom that once ruled Mesopotamia after the decline of ancient Babylon. Yet aside from a few cuneiform tablets and pottery shards found around its foundations, there is little direct evidence to clarify who designed, directed, and constructed this ziggurat. Historical records about the Kassites are scattered and incomplete, with many sections having been lost entirely. Some suggest that the Kassites merely inherited the structure or construction techniques from even older Mesopotamian civilizations such as Sumer or Akkad. Other archaeologists point out hybrid architectural features between different cultural regions, such as the geometric motifs on bricks, plastering methods, and step-building techniques that differ from pure Sumerian or Babylonian traditions. The presence of some bricks with unusual styles or materials uncommon in the area further thickens the fog around the true identity of its builders. Modern excavations have even uncovered traces of materials and tools around the ziggurat's foundations that date hundreds of years apart, raising theories that the structure may have been rebuilt, expanded, or even assembled from multiple successive civilizations, each generation supplementing or renovating it according to their own beliefs, rituals, and technical methods. One of the biggest controversies surrounding the ziggurat of Archaeological is the level of technical expertise its construction demonstrates. Its giant steps, originally estimated to reach up to 40 meters in height, and its mud brick blocks, larger and heavier than the norms of the time, are bound together by a type of mortar whose full chemical composition remains unstudied to this day. The ziggurat's resilience through thousands of years of rain, earthquakes, and Mesopotamia's harsh climate leaves modern researchers awestruck. How did ancient builders create such a long-lasting structure when modern machinery, surveying equipment, and building materials were not even conceived of at the time? Transporting millions of bricks from distant kilns to the construction site raises major questions about labor organization and transport technology. The ziggurat's foundations rest on soft ground, prone to sinking, yet the entire structure has stood firm for millennia. Geological surveys suggest that ancient builders may have applied ground reinforcement solutions, distributed loads rationally, or even exploited the terrain's properties to optimize the structure's durability, feats that impress many modern engineers. Some holes and grooves running along the ziggurat's body remain unexplained. Are they ventilation systems to prevent humidity or underground water channels to maintain structural integrity? Or are they remnants of material lifting machines, perhaps primitive but ingenious pulley or mechanical systems? So far, there is no convincing evidence, but these debates remain hot topics at international archaeological conferences. Confronted with the sheer size of the ziggurat of Archaeological, many scholars believe that the Kassites, or the true original builders, possessed construction techniques that have been lost to history. These could include ultra-durable brick-making methods, exclusive mortar formulas or labor organization, and structural calculation skills far beyond ordinary understanding. Most contemporary structures in Mesopotamia have been destroyed or severely degraded. Only this ziggurat has survived as if defying the usual laws of physics. However, some argue that mythologizing ancient technological prowess is unnecessary. They contend that every magnificent ancient work can be explained by science, traditional techniques, and experience accumulated over generations of craftsmen. According to this view, the Kassites' real secret may have lain in their clever use of local materials, assembly line style labor organization, and strict adherence to the principles of physics and natural observation. Still, there has yet to be a modern reconstruction in the area that matches the ancient ziggurat's durability, lending credence to the suspicion that many real secrets have been lost through time and war. Curiously, many brick layers in the ziggurat of Kharkov are not uniform in material origin. Chemical analyses have found special mineral ratios only present in clay deposits tens or even hundreds of kilometers away. This raises two major theories: either the Kassites controlled and transported materials from a much wider area than previously thought, or one or more other civilizations played roles in supplying materials or even participated in the ziggurat's construction. Brick fragments and inscribed tablets with languages or motifs differing from Kassite style have also been found within the ziggurat complex, possibly evidence of cultural cross-pollination collaboration or technology sharing with neighboring regions such as Elam, the Hittites, or even the distant Harappan civilization in the east. Many scholars ask, could the ziggurat of Kharkov have been the product of an ancient international project where cultures converged to create a symbol of human knowledge? The discovery of copper tool fragments, unusual stones, traces of ropes, or primitive cartwheel imprints within the brick layers has sparked new debates. Some experts propose that the Kassites may have used pulley system sledges or large-scale hand cranes far more extensively than previously believed. Scattered evidence of metalworking, copper alloy, forging, and composite material production in what remains of their civilization suggests that Kassite builders were no less technically advanced than the Egyptians or Greeks of their time. However, the lack of archaeological evidence, such as absent design, blueprints, technical records, or large-scale mechanical artifacts, means many theories remain speculation, allowing skeptics to continue challenging prevailing views. Like all enigmatic relics worldwide, the ziggurat of Kharkov has not escaped alternative theories involving extraterrestrial intervention. Proponents cite anomalies in local magnetic fields, strange echoes, and the presence of artifacts that do not fit the site's timeline as signs that the structure was inspired or guided by a superior civilization. While the mainstream scientific community dismisses these claims, such theories remain highly popular with the public, especially when compared to other mysterious ancient sites like the Egyptian pyramids, Easter Island's stone statues. Though there is no truly convincing evidence, the existence of alien theories reflects the extraordinary complexity and inscrutability of the technologies used at the ziggurat of Kharkov, where materials, geometry, and labor organization all transcend conventional frameworks for the era. The ziggurat of Kharkov is not just a ruin, but a symbol of humanity's ongoing quest and debate about origins, technology, and ancient creativity. Every new discovery here raises big questions about the connections between civilizations and long-lost technical secrets. Despite many challenges in preservation and restoration, this structure remains a powerful inspiration, a reminder that history is always filled with countless unsolved mysteries. Located in the heart of the Bamiyan Valley, Amidst the rugged mountains of central Afghanistan, the Bamiyan cliff niches are among the most magnificent and mysterious ancient sites in all of Asia. For more than a millennium, this place served as a crossroads for great civilizations: ancient Greece, India, Persia, Central Asia, and later the Islamic world. Yet few could imagine that in this barren desert once stood two colossal standing Buddhas, celebrated as wonders of the ancient world, and surrounding them was a network of caves, hidden chambers, and advanced technical systems that far surpassed their era. When people mention Bamiyan, they do not merely recall a religious heritage or a story of destruction, but also the unresolved mysteries left by ancient master builders. Do you believe there are still undiscovered secrets hidden deep inside the Bamiyan cliffs? Let us know your theory in the comments below. The two largest niches carved into the Bamiyan cliff once housed the tallest standing Buddhas ever known. The smaller statues stood at approximately 38 meters, while the larger reached an astonishing 55 meters. These statues were carved directly into the sandstone cliffs in the 6th century, then finished with clay straw and lime paint to create a smooth, flat surface before being colored gilded and adorned with intricate raised details. For over 1,000 years, these two statues were not only pilgrimage sites for Buddhists across Asia and Europe, but also symbols of power, marking Bamiyan Valley's pivotal role on the ancient Silk Road. What is astonishing is that in extremely harsh natural conditions, vast temperature swings, strong winds, arid climate, the Buddhas and their surrounding niches remained nearly intact throughout 14 centuries, a testament to the extraordinary technical skills of their creators. This is the aspect that leaves every archaeologist, architect, and modern engineer in awe. Carving statues directly into the cliff may seem simple, but in reality, it is immensely complex. The exact thickness angle and load-bearing capacity of each sandstone layer had to be precisely calculated. And this is only the surface. Inside the niches and around the statues, researchers discovered dozens of small tunnels, hollow chambers, and boreholes stretching deep into the heart of the mountain. Many theories suggest these tunnels served technical purposes, such as reducing weight, regulating temperature, preventing earthquake cracks, or acting as sound ducts to amplify chants during religious ceremonies. The statue bodies were reinforced with special mortar, a mixture of clay straw, and sometimes organic adhesives of unidentified origin, resulting in a surface as hard as modern cement, yet resilient against wind erosion. The heads, hands, robes, and protruding details were not carved as part of the whole, but were attached as separate stone, wood, or terracotta pieces, fixed using a complex system of wooden dowels and mortar, a highly advanced technique that to this day cannot be fully reconstructed. Additionally, researchers have identified the presence of hidden staircases, small passageways behind the statues, and even secret doors accessible only from within. Some speculate these structures were meant to protect fragile parts from earthquakes, while others suspect they served as escape routes or places to hide sacred objects, artifacts, or treasures of the ancient monasteries. Especially at the junctions between statue and cliff, wooden dowels more than 1 meter long were embedded deep inside, able to flex with geological shifts of vibration and earthquake-resistant technology, so advanced that even today's architects are amazed. When specialists used ground-penetrating radar to survey the site, they found many large voids within and behind the niches, some never yet opened. Locals believe secrets remain untouched within, from hidden shrines to tunnels running to the opposite side of the valley. Constructing such giant Buddhas did not weaken the cliff's structure. On the contrary, over centuries, these giant niches acted as natural shock absorbers, helping the entire Bamiyan cliff withstand countless earthquakes and storms. Beyond the two grand niches, the entire Bamiyan cliff is dotted with more than 1,000 small caves interconnected into a multi-level, multi-directional network. Most of these caves served as meditation chambers, dwellings, monasteries, or repositories for ancient murals. Astonishingly, many of the wall paintings here were created using oil-based and synthetic paints, centuries before such techniques appeared in Europe, demonstrating the advanced chemical and artistic knowledge of these ancient people. The murals depict Buddhist cosmology, deities, daily life, or complex cosmic symbols. Some paintings have retained their original colors, bright reds, turquoise blues, shimmering golds, all surviving more than a millennium. In certain caves, there exist strange structures, sound tubes piercing the walls, sealed rooms thought to be sound control chambers for sacred rituals. Some caves have never been thoroughly explored due to hazardous terrain or being blocked by debris, fueling the belief that archaeological treasures still lie hidden beneath the Bamiyan cliffs. The small caves were each designed for various purposes: meditation, chanting, storage of scriptures, or safekeeping of religious relics. In some, archaeologists have found traces of sacred fire, strange symbols carved into stone, or reliefs depicting rituals that remain undeciphered. Many abstract symbols and ancient ritual objects suggest this was once a major spiritual center of Central Asia. Alongside this, small tunnels, hidden stairs, and auxiliary rooms behind the Buddha niches are believed to have been shelters for monks during times of unrest, or holy places used to safeguard important relics from invaders. Some sections of the Bamiyan Cliff still conceal secret tunnels yet to be opened. Using modern technology, radar three-dimensional scanning, researchers have found many large voids deep behind the niches, likely former treasure rooms, ancient scripture vaults, or places for undisclosed, mysterious ceremonies. The placement of these voids and hidden tunnels also helped reduce pressure on the cliff face, preventing collapse from earthquakes or geological changes, another testament to the brilliant structural calculations and engineering far ahead of its time. In 2001, the two Bamiyan Buddhas were completely destroyed, but the large niches and cave system remained, becoming a historical monument that reminds us of the value of cultural diversity and the fragility of heritage. Afterwards, archaeologists discovered many more caves, artifacts, and hidden chambers that had been buried, further supporting the theory of tunnels and secret voids inside the Bamiyan Cliffs, places that hold the mysteries of ancient engineering and religious life. To this day, countless questions continue to perplex scientists, archaeologists, and modern engineers when faced with the Bamiyan site. Who was the mastermind behind the planning and construction of the two colossal Buddha statues, along with the entire network of caves and magnificent hidden chambers? Where did they source the manpower, materials, and techniques required for such an achievement in a remote and rugged mountain region like Bamiyan? What was the true purpose of those voids, tunnels, and secret passages? Were they venues for rituals, treasure vaults, escape routes, or spaces for some kind of esoteric practices belonging to the Bamiyan culture? How did ancient craftsmen create mortar mixtures durable enough to withstand such harsh weather conditions for over 1,000 years? Why did advanced techniques like earthquake-resistant wooden dowels appear in Bamiyan centuries earlier than in other renowned civilizations around the world? Do the oil painting techniques found in these murals have some mysterious connection with the later development of art in Europe and deep within the Bamiyan Cliffs? Could there still be archaeological secrets that humanity has yet to uncover? The Bamiyan Cliff niches are a grand intersection of history, art, religion, and unsolved scientific mysteries. The grand niches that once held the giant Buddhas are not only religious symbols, but also timeless technical marvels, reflecting the extraordinary intellect and creativity of ancient people. The tunnels, voids, hidden rooms, and unique structural techniques continue to challenge modern science. Bamiyan, though no longer intact, remains one of the strangest ancient sites, stirring the spirit of discovery and urging humanity to seek answers for the mysteries buried for thousands of years. In the arid desert of Dumat al-Jandal, Saudi Arabia, within a land largely forgotten by most archaeological expeditions, the ruins of Marid Castle still stand tall, a silent witness to the faintest chapters of human history. Perched atop a basalt hill nearly 30 meters high, Marid Castle from afar resembles an impregnable stronghold, and for thousands of years it was indeed considered just that. Yet what makes this place so mysterious is not only its solid architecture or the unexplored underground chambers, but the haunting question it presents: who built Marid Castle in the first place? And for what purpose? Who do you think built Marid Castle? And why? Share your theory in the comments below. No clear historical records mention the name dynasty or specific civilization responsible for constructing the fortress. All archaeologists have are carefully stacked stone walls, traces of spiral staircases, underground wells, and a defense system so intelligently designed it seems to surpass its era. The presence of various cultural sediment layers, from Nabatean to Roman Umayyad and medieval Islamic periods, only adds to the confusion surrounding its origin. Like many other ancient structures across the world, Marid Castle does not fully align with any single known historical timeline. One of the most widely accepted theories suggests that Marid Castle may have been built by the Nabateans, the civilization famed for creating the majestic Petra in Jordan. This idea mainly rests on two architectural features: the use of dry stone stacking without mortar and the employment of black basalt, a material abundant in northwestern Arabia. However, upon closer inspection, Marid lacks nearly all the architectural elements typically associated with Nabatean craftsmanship. There are no intricately carved facades, no inscriptions, no religious symbols, and no auxiliary structures, like tombs or temples, features that define Petra's identity. Moreover, Marid is a fully above-ground structure with no aesthetic flourishes, shaped by a purely military utilitarian design. The absence of Nabatean hallmarks has led many researchers to question whether this fortress truly belonged to them or whether it was the product of an entirely different culture, one more mysterious and far less understood. In addition to the Nabatean theory, some scholars have proposed that Marid Castle might have been constructed by powerful empires such as the Assyrians or Babylonians' dominant forces that once ruled much of the Middle East during the first millennium BCE. However, this hypothesis lacks a critical element: no inscriptions, symbols, or archaeological traces from either civilization have ever been discovered at Dumat al-Jandal. This makes the theory highly speculative, based more on assumption than on concrete evidence. More intriguingly, some bold researchers have raised the possibility that Marid could be the creation of a prehistoric culture, one that existed before the Nabateans and then vanished, leaving behind no name records or recognition. Much like how Göbekli Tepe disrupted established archaeological timelines, Marid may represent a missing piece from a civilization that has yet to be acknowledged by history. The mystery only deepens when examining the fortress's design. Thick walls, strategically placed watchtowers, hidden wells, and subterranean storage rooms all point to a profound understanding of military architecture and desert survival. Its primary building material is black basalt, a dense, heavy, and difficult to carve, stone-shaped and stacked with astonishing precision, and without any mortar. This dry stack method demands not just craftsmanship, but advanced knowledge of gravity, thermal expansion, and long-term structural integrity far beyond what most ancient civilizations were thought to possess without inherited engineering systems. Marid Castle is far more than just a fort. It functioned as an observation tower, a defensive stronghold, a logistical hub, and possibly a ceremonial center of power in ancient times. The legend of Queen Zenobia, the famed monarch of Palmyra, who once marched her armies to lay siege to Marid, only to retreat, and famously declare Marid has rebelled, and Alabiad has glorified hints at the fortress's legendary status as an unbreakable bastion. Whether or not this story is literal, it underscores Marid's role as a symbol of military dominance in Arabia's ancient desert history. Yet the overlapping historical layers make identifying the original builder even more difficult. The stonework appears to come from multiple eras, mixed in irregular patterns. Some sections feature perfectly squared stones. Others use uneven boulders. Dry stone techniques appear side by side, with signs of primitive white lime mortar. This inconsistency frustrates archaeologists who cannot date the structure accurately without disturbing the foundational strata, something no one dares do for fear of damaging the entire fortress. Several hallways, spiral staircases, and underground chambers remain unexplored. Ground-penetrating radar has been proposed to scan beneath the castle, but no full-scale projects have been completed due to budget and preservation concerns. This fuels widespread belief that beneath Marid may lie hidden secrets, treasure caches, ancient records, or even an underground tunnel system connecting it to nearby sites. If this proves true, Marid's original builder was not just an engineer, but a master strategist, one who understood how to manage resources and control a military center in the unforgiving desert. One of the strangest clues surrounding Marid Castle is the presence of faintly carved inscriptions on stones in the nearby area. What makes them remarkable is that they do not match any known writing systems such as Ancient Arabic, Nabatean, or Aramaic. Some experts suspect these markings could be remnants of a pre-Akkadian language, or perhaps merely symbolic glyphs, similar to the still undeciphered carvings left by the Taino people in the Caribbean or the Rapa Nui of Easter Island. If verified as authentic, these markings could place Marid Castle among the very rare ancient sites that cannot be definitively linked to any known civilization, raising the possibility that it once belonged to a forgotten cultural lineage, one that has been entirely erased from the historical memory of humankind. In the end, Marid Castle is not merely a pile of crumbling stone atop a hill. It is an unanswered question, a jigsaw piece that doesn't fit within the puzzle of Middle Eastern history. Surviving thousands of years, witnessing the rise and fall of countless empires, the fortress still stands defiant. It challenges archaeology, confounds engineering logic, and unsettles the collective memory of humanity about its own ancient past. Amidst the arid deserts of northwestern Saudi Arabia, where time seems to freeze in the scorching winds and endless stretches of sand, the ruins of the Dardan Kingdom rise like a haunting whisper from the past. For anyone who has set foot in the Alula Valley, where red cliffs stand tall, embracing a once glorious civilization, the image of the Dardan Kingdom is not just a tangible remnant, but also a profound enigma of intellect, power, religion, and a sudden collapse that no one has yet explained. The stone walls, tombs carved deeply into the mountain, and ancient scripts that remain only partially deciphered, all quietly question the modern world about the fragility and greatness of what humanity once built. What do you think truly caused the mysterious disappearance of the Dardan civilization? Share your theory or thoughts in the comments below. The story of Dardan begins around the 9th century before Christ. This was when the civilization emerged as a force controlling almost all of the vital trade routes that spanned the Arabian Peninsula. Imagine a city-state that served as the main stopover for incense spices, gemstones, gold, and silver flowing from southern Arabia, Yemen, Oman, all the way up to the Mediterranean, Egypt, Babylon, and Assyria. Caravans journeyed thousands of miles across burning sands and always had to stop at Dardan to trade refresh, seek shelter, and exchange cultures. This strategic position turned Dedan into a hotspot on ancient maps, appearing even in the records of Assyria, Persia, and Greece. But Dedan was not only a commercial center, it was also a seat of political and religious power. The rulers of Dedan were described as wealthy, masterful in diplomacy, and influential across the region. Here, art, religion, writing, and law flourished side by side, creating a society of rare organization and discipline for the Arabian Peninsula in ancient times. Stretching along the Alula Valley are dozens of grand tombs carved deeply into the red sandstone cliffs. Reliefs, tomb facades, sculpted with lion motifs, divine symbols, and strange patterns all showcase the artistic mindset and exceptional technical skill of the Dardan people. Some of the largest tombs are known as lion tombs, where imposing lion statues stand guard at both entrances, symbolizing power and sacred protection. Notably, carving tombs straight into the mountains required sophisticated building techniques, precise tool use, and meticulous planning, sparking theories that the Dedan people possessed advanced engineering on par with other great civilizations like Egypt and Mesopotamia. These tombs not only served the nobility, but also reflected beliefs in the afterlife, the endurance of the soul, and family power. Within the heart of the Dardan ruins, countless ancient inscriptions were discovered carved in the Dadanitic script, one of the oldest and most enigmatic writing systems in Arabia. Some passages reveal legal codes, religious rituals, social relationships, and dynastic history. Yet to this day, much remains a mystery, because Dadanitic has not been fully deciphered. Each stele is like a scattered puzzle piece, challenging scholars worldwide to truly grasp the civilization's essence. This is why Dedan still seems wrapped in a mist of knowledge and intrigue. Archaeological discoveries reveal that the Dedan people worshipped many deities, from gods protecting commerce to sacred animal figures such as lions. Some sacrificial offering and burial rituals have been recorded through rock art and artifacts, but the specifics of these ceremonies have almost vanished with the decline of the culture. Especially notable is that although there was cross-cultural influence from neighboring civilizations, Dedan's religious practices retained unique characteristics, a blend of animism, polytheism, and indigenous rituals unlike anywhere else. One thing that astonishes modern scholars is the building prowess of the Dardan people. Living in a harsh desert, they nonetheless constructed housing tombs, stone columns, temples, and even complex irrigation systems. Stones were joined with remarkable precision, using techniques to resist natural erosion and optimize for the local climate, something seen only in the most advanced ancient civilizations. Traces of tools, methods, and construction materials remain a hotly debated topic. How could an ancient society achieve such large-scale, durable works amid such limited resources and extreme environmental conditions? Dedan was more than a local center. It was a vital commercial hub connecting Yemen, Oman, Egypt, Syria, and Mesopotamia. Artifacts unearthed here include jewelry, pottery, weapons, currency, ivory, gemstones, and a multitude of items from distant lands. This proves Dedan was truly an international city, where people, goods, and ideas met, exchanged, and generated new values. Once bustling caravan routes and camel trains laden with incense, myrrh, and precious metals all had to pause at Dedan before heading to Rome, Greece, or Persia. The disappearance of the Dedan civilization is one of the greatest mysteries in the history of the ancient Middle East. Around the 1st century before Christ, while neighboring civilizations were still thriving, the once bustling city of Dedan suddenly fell silent. There are no ancient records describing a great war or catastrophic disaster. The massive tombs still stand tall by the cliff, and the ancient inscriptions remain clearly visible on the red stone surfaces, as if this place had only just been forgotten by time. The big question is, why could a wealthy kingdom, one that controlled vital trade routes, possessed advanced construction techniques, and had a tightly organized social system, disappear so quietly? For many decades, archaeologists, historians, and scholars of antiquity have proposed various theories, yet none has been truly convincing. Some suggest that Dardan might have been annexed by neighboring kingdoms such as Lihian or Nabatean. This transfer of power could have led to a process of assimilation, overshadowing the old identity and turning Dardan's legacy into a mere footnote in other emerging cultures. However, archaeological evidence shows almost no signs of violence, widespread destruction, or the typical remnants of warfare, things one would easily find in regions with a history of major conflict. A second theory focuses on environmental and climatic factors. Many studies show that the Alula area once had a milder climate and more abundant water sources than it does now. However, global climate change, prolonged desertification, or geological shifts may have depleted underground water reserves, forcing inhabitants to leave the city in search of new places to live. If that was the case, the migration would have occurred silently, leaving little trace except for the gradual disappearance of economic and social activities. Another possible cause could be related to shifts in major trade routes. If the main arteries of commerce changed direction for economic or political reasons, Dardan would lose its central role and quickly fade from memory, giving way to new cities rising in its place. Additionally, the pressures of new religions, cultural influx, or the appearance of greater empires could have led the Dardan community to gradually assimilate into other groups, erasing their unique identity. What truly puzzles scholars is that all of these theories lack definitive evidence. There are no signs of a major epidemic, sudden natural catastrophe, or abrupt mass migration. Instead, Dardan's disappearance resembles a slowly fading shadow, a place where people, culture, and collective memory quietly faded away over time. The descendants of Dardan, such as the Leonites and Nabateans, did inherit this land, but they never restored its former glory as a major center of trade and culture. The name Dardan gradually survived only on a handful of ancient maps, scattered across undeciphered steles, an enduring mystery that continues to challenge the boundaries of our understanding today. It was not until the 20th and 21st centuries that international archaeologists truly awakened Dardan from its thousand-year sleep. Large-scale excavations began uncovering tomb complexes, decoding part of the inscriptions, and discovering precious artifacts. Still, only a small portion of the archaeological site has been explored, meaning beneath the ground, countless secrets remain. Scientists believe that every new dig could add pieces to Dardan's historical puzzle. Perhaps a buried library, an inscription revealing secrets of power, or a find that upends all existing theories about this civilization's mysterious collapse. Today, the Dardan Kingdom ruins are not only an intriguing archaeological site, but also a source of inspiration for researchers and those fascinated by unsolved mysteries. Each tomb, an ancient inscription here, tells the story of the rise and fall of a great civilization, reminding us of the fragility of time. What makes Dardan truly unique is its mysterious disappearance, something no one has been able to explain. The site was not destroyed by war or natural disaster. Instead, it seems to have faded away quietly, leaving countless questions for future generations. Standing among Dardan's ruins, one can feel echoes of the past and leave with unanswered thoughts. Dardan still waits for its secrets to be uncovered, serving as a challenge for all generations to come. On a gentle hill on the western edge of the Judean region in Israel lies an ancient stone ruin that has silently watched over the Elah Valley for more than 3 millennia, a place that has witnessed some of humanity's greatest legends. This is Khirbet Qiyafeh, a long-forgotten fortress that only truly awakened in the early 21st century thanks to modern excavations. While most other ancient sites around the Mediterranean have already been excavated, restored, and at least partially decoded regarding their builders and historical roles, Khirbet Qiyafeh has emerged as a brand new mystery, challenging both archaeologists and historians. But what makes this place the hottest point of debate is the biggest question of all. Could Khirbet Qiyafeh be the oldest Israelite city ever mentioned in the Bible? What do you think? Could Khirbet Qiyafeh truly be the oldest Israelite city mentioned in the Bible? Or is there still another mystery waiting to be discovered? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Seen from above, Khirbet Qiyafeh appears as a solid stone circle perched atop the hill, surrounded by colossal defensive walls made of thousands of tightly fitted large stones, a cyclopean stonework technique that only great civilizations could achieve. The entire city covers about 2 hectares, enough to house thousands of residents at once, with an extremely tight urban layout, neat rows of houses hugging the city wall, straight intersecting alleys, storage facilities mingled with dwellings, all pointing to a purpose-built urban military settlement with a clear social organization. Especially notable is that Khirbet Qiyafeh possesses 2 massive stone gates, facing each other, almost unheard of in Canaanite or Levantine fortifications of that era. Most ancient cities had only one main gate for easier defense, but here the 2 large gates allowed highly efficient control and management of people and supplies, sparking theories about deep religious or symbolic meanings. Some researchers believe this is Sha'araim 2 gates mentioned in biblical passages about the early Israelite period. However, these remain hypotheses with no final answer yet. Delving into the construction details, the city walls of Khirbet Qiyafeh are made from large limestone blocks, carefully squared and fitted without mortar, with some sections over 4 meters wide, far exceeding defensive standards of the time. In certain sections, 2 parallel walls of large stones are built with rubble fill in between, a method that increases sturdiness and earthquake resistance, as well as the ability to withstand prolonged assaults. In the wall recesses, archaeologists have discovered foundation remains of watchtowers, water cisterns, and deep pits, proving the inhabitants were prepared for many days of siege. The discovery of large granaries, massive pottery jars, and traces of rainwater collection systems further highlights the social complexity of this place, totally different from the small villages or semi-nomadic Canaanite communities of the same period. Yet the greatest mystery, and the main reason for international debate, lies in the issue of Khirbet Qiyafeh's true age and who its first builders were. For many decades, debates about the origins of the ancient Israelites have revolved around 2 major theories. One, that the Israelites came from Egypt and conquered Canaan according to the Bible. 2, that they developed indigenously from local Canaanite farming communities, gradually evolving in religion, law, and social structure. Khirbet Qiyafeh has become the golden key that could shed light on part of this question if we can securely determine its construction date and cross-reference it with artifacts, religious social traces, and recorded historical data. Archaeologists have used radiocarbon dating C14 on charred olive wood and wheat grains buried in the deepest layers of the site. The results, nearly all samples cluster in the period from 1020 to 980 before the Common Era, almost exactly matching the reign of King David, the Davidic kingdom, or Saul, as described in the Hebrew Bible. If these results are absolutely accurate, Khirbet Qiyafeh could be the oldest known Israelite city, the first physical evidence confirming the biblical account of the formation of ancient Israel. This immediately set off a wave of excitement not only in the archaeological community, but also among religious groups, biblical scholars, and those searching for historical proof of the Exodus and the David-Solomon dynasty stories long steeped in legend. However, like every great mystery, Khirbet Qiyafeh is not without fierce counter-arguments. Some scholars argue that relying solely on radiocarbon dating is insufficient, since soil layers, ceramic artifacts, metal tools, and animal bones can be moved and reused across generations. Furthermore, the architectural traces and megalithic construction techniques, though rare, were not exclusive to the early Israelites. The Canaanite region, the Philistine communities, and even New Kingdom Egypt also built similar large stone fortresses to guard borders and protect trade routes. Therefore, to conclusively determine the nationality of Khirbet Qeiyafa, further evidence of cultural and religious nature is needed, something modern archaeology values most highly. This is why researchers are extremely attentive to what is absent at Khirbet Qeiyafa. Throughout the excavation, virtually no polytheistic idols were found, which are common among Canaanite and Philistine communities. Notably, there are also no traces of pig bones, while pigs were among the most popular foods in the Mediterranean at the time, except among Israelites who were prohibited from eating pork by Torah law. This absence, rather than the presence of Jewish symbols, is the strongest evidence supporting the hypothesis of an early Israelite community at the site. At the height of debate is the discovery of a small potsherd inscribed with ancient letters, possibly the earliest form of Hebrew containing religious vocabulary laws or moral phrases. However, the exact translation is still disputed. If the inscription truly is Hebrew, Khirbet Qeiyafa would become the earliest archaeological proof of the Israelite language and script, laying the foundation stone for the Jewish civilization that would later change Middle Eastern history. But if it is Canaanite dialect or merely a trademark, all hypotheses about the earliest Israelite city become much more fragile. Strategically, Khirbet Qeiyafa commands the Elah Valley, an important gateway linking the Judahite highlands with the coastal plain, a borderland between great powers for thousands of years: Canaan, Philistia, Egypt, and later Israel. This valley is also tied to the legendary battle between David and Goliath, a detail that brings additional media and religious attention to these silent stone ruins. Whether it was a city of the Israelites, Philistines, or Canaanites, it is clear that Khirbet Qeiyafa once played a central role in controlling trade military movements and serving as a symbol of early royal power. Yet, like its enigmatic arrival, Khirbet Qeiyafa vanished quietly. It existed for less than half a century, with no signs of war or destruction, no mass graves or layers of ashes as at other ancient cities. Khirbet Qeiyafa was abandoned suddenly, lying beneath layers of earth and grass for more than 3,000 years. Archaeologists still cannot answer the real reason. Was it due to changing military strategy, shifting defensive lines, or some major social upheaval that forced the inhabitants to leave? Or perhaps once its original purpose was fulfilled, Khirbet Qeiyafa was left behind as a relic of a time when tribes became nation. Khirbet Qeiyafa fortifications are a vivid symbol of the mysteries of human history. An ancient fortress built ahead of its time, meticulously planned, employing monumental stonework, and lacking any idols or pig bones, those absent evidences suggesting one of the oldest Israelite communities. Yet all questions about its true builders, the meaning of its two gates, its appearance and sudden disappearance remain unanswered. Thus, after more than 3,000 years, this site remains a reminder that history is not just what has been written down, but also the secrets still sleeping beneath the earth, waiting for today's generation to continue searching, decoding, and debating endlessly. High in the Alborz Mountains of northern Iran, perched atop a narrow, jagged rock over 200 meters above the valley floor, lies the remains of Alamut Castle, a fortress that has stirred imagination, fear, and reverence for over 1,000 years. Known as the stronghold of the legendary Hashashin Nizari Ismaili assassins, the fortress became a symbol of secrecy, resistance, and forbidden knowledge. But behind the dramatic history and myth lies a deeper unanswered question. How was it even built in the first place? Could ancient builders have known techniques we've completely lost? Or is there another explanation behind Alamut's impossible foundations? Share your theory in the comments below. While many castles of the medieval Islamic world impress with their walls, towers, and arsenals, Alamut baffles archaeologists right at its base. The foundation itself defies explanation. It is not merely built on a mountain, it is fused into the mountain. It seems to grow from the cliffside like part of the rock itself. And yet this isn't a natural formation. There are clear signs of modification, shaping, leveling, and even reinforcement, but there is no definitive evidence of how, or even exactly when, this work was carried out. No historical records describe the construction process. No architectural plans survive, and no conventional engineering models explain how such a structure could have been anchored to such a precarious near-vertical geological formation in the 9th or 10th century. Unlike Roman or Persian fortresses that often left behind inscriptions or engineering records, Alamut offers only silence. Scholars suspect that earlier foundations may have existed before the Nizari Ismailis seized and expanded the site in the 11th century, but if so, who built them and how? The stonework at the base of the castle shows signs of precision cuts and leveling suggestive of either advanced tools or extraordinary manual skill. Some parts of the foundation appear to utilize the natural rock, while others have been artificially modified, smoothed, or extended, but these modifications do not follow a consistent technique. In fact, parts of the structure seem to have been inserted into cracks and hollows in the cliff, as though engineers were blending their architecture with the landscape in ways that suggest more than just brute force. Could they have had access to unknown surveying methods? Could they have used pulley system scaffolding, or even techniques that have since been lost to time? No answers have emerged. Only theories and more questions. One might think that building a castle on such a vertical cliff was just an extreme example of natural defense. But analysis of the site shows something more profound. Alamut's placement appears strategic, not just militarily, but symbolically and psychologically. From its position, the castle commands a panoramic view of the entire valley. Any approaching force would be seen hours, if not days in advance. But more than that, the psychological effect of a seemingly impossible fortress looming overhead created a sense of invincibility. Visitors and enemies alike would look up and wonder, how did they build that? That very question is still being asked today. Recent studies and remote sensing suggest there may be more hidden beneath the visible ruins of Alamut. There are collapsed passageways, sealed tunnels, and ventilation shafts whose original purpose and full extent remain unknown. Some archaeologists believe there could be an entire subterranean level that once stored food weapons or manuscripts. If such levels exist, it would mean that the original engineers not only built on the rock, but inside it. And that would raise even more difficult questions about how they cut through such hard stone without explosives or modern drills. Could there have been a lost method of rock excavation that combined knowledge of natural fractures, moisture, and temperature with manual labor? Or is it possible that some ancient group, predating the Ismailis, had already hollowed out parts of the cliff for their own use, and later builders simply adopted and expanded it? Again, the archaeological record offers no conclusive answer. One of the great puzzles surrounding Alamut is the lack of a clear quarrying origin. Unlike many ancient fortresses, where the source of the stone is obvious either nearby or with visible transportation routes, no such evidence exists here. If materials were brought from the base of the mountain, where are the roads, ramps, or carved paths? Even if they used the natural rock for the main structure, supplementary materials such as bricks, wood, and plaster had to be brought up. The terrain is treacherous, even today, let alone without modern equipment. How was this achieved on such a scale? Pack animals, human chains. Hidden pathways now lost to erosion. The logistics of Alamut's foundation remain a logistical riddle that modern historians can only guess at. Historical texts suggest that Alamut was more than a military base. It served as a library, an observatory, and a spiritual retreat. Nizari leaders reportedly maintained collections of rare texts, scientific manuscripts, and philosophical treatises. If this is true, it adds a new layer to the question of the foundation. Could the very construction of Alamut have been designed to reflect the integration of physical mastery and intellectual ascension? In other words, was building the fortress in such an impossible place a philosophical act as much as an engineering feat? Was the hidden foundation meant to represent knowledge hidden in the depths accessible only to the initiated? It's a romantic thought, but one that resonates with the mystique surrounding Alamut. Inevitably, where history falls silent, legend steps in. Over the centuries, stories have grown around Alamut's construction. Secret guilds vanished. Masons' ancient knowledge passed down orally, even speculation that remnants of pre-Islamic or Zoroastrian technology may have been used. Some modern theorists, reaching for more radical answers, have suggested everything from geopolymer techniques to acoustic levitation, but none of these have any physical evidence. And yet the lack of rational explanation for how the fortress was embedded into such a brutal cliff leaves the door open to these fringe ideas. The truth is, we simply don't know. Attempts to study Alamut have been limited by both geopolitical issues and physical danger. The site is hard to access, prone to landslides, and much of it has been damaged by earthquakes, erosion, and neglect. Excavations are partial at best, and digital scanning remains incomplete. Until a full survey of the foundations is performed, perhaps using underground radar, LiDAR, or drone mapping, the full story of Alamut's base will remain hidden. But maybe that's part of its power. Alamut Castle is a fortress, yes, but more than that, it is a question carved into the cliffs of Iran. How do you build on the impossible? How do you hide your secrets in stone? The foundation of Alamut stands as a literal and symbolic mystery. It holds up a structure that changed history, but it also holds back our understanding. Every block of stone is a challenge to modern logic. Every carved edge, a reminder that some knowledge might have been lost deliberately or by accident. Perhaps the most unsettling truth about Alamut Castle is this: the closer we look into its foundations, the more uncertain they become. There is a place deep within the wild forests of the Andes where history quietly ended, leaving behind countless unanswered questions. This is the Mount Vilcabamba Highland Ruins, the final solemn remnants of a once mighty empire that ruled over South America. Beneath the thick mist and the darkness of the jungle, moss-covered stone walls and silent foundations have borne witness to the dying moments of the Inca civilization, a place where the mysteries of collapse and disappearance still echo to this day. After Cusco, the very heart of the Inca Empire, fell to the Spanish, an entire brilliant culture seemed to retreat hastily into the deep forests. Unwilling to surrender, the Inca established Vilcabamba as their last fortress, a hidden kingdom, keeping alive a fragile hope of survival through the darkest of days. Nearly 40 years later, in the midst of desperation and resistance, the final Inca kings fought to preserve their traditions, their faith, and secrets unknown to the world, only for every trace to be gradually buried by time, war, and oblivion. What do you think truly happened to the last Inca stronghold? Could Vilcabamba still be hiding secrets beneath the jungle? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Mount Vilcabamba is situated among soaring peaks, dense forests, and rushing streams. The terrain here is especially treacherous, almost completely isolated from the outside world. Only those truly determined who understand the secret Inca or local paths could reach the ruins shrouded in mist, moss, and time. This geography allowed Vilcabamba to endure as an impregnable fortress for many years after the Inca lost other territories. The ruins at Mount Vilcabamba are not as grand as Machu Picchu, but possess a melancholic, somber beauty. Tightly fitted stone walls, square foundation traces of ancient water systems, and round ritualistic structures still remain. Some areas show evidence of burning or destruction, as if bearing witness to a great tragedy. For many centuries, even famous explorers and archaeologists confused Vilcabamba with other sites such as Choqquequirao, Vitcos, or Espiritu Pampa. Only in the middle of the 20th century, through excavations and the cross-checking of historical records, did scholars pinpoint the real location of this fortress in the remote Espiritu Pampa region. This prolonged confusion only thickens the fog of mystery around Vilcabamba, making every journey here feel like a quest for a lost city. Among all the mysteries surrounding the Mount Vilcabamba highland ruins, nothing troubles historians and archaeologists more than the question, why did a stronghold of the Inca Empire, after decades of resistance, collapse so quickly and become completely abandoned in such a short span of time? Spanish historical records state that after many years of pursuit, in the year 1572, Spanish forces finally discovered the location of Vilcabamba. They launched a fierce attack, captured the last king Tupac Amaru, and executed him in Cusco. At the same time, they leveled palaces, set fire to key buildings, and massacred the remaining population. The traces of scorching and destruction at the site today partly support this theory. However, some scholars question this version. Did the Incas themselves, upon realizing they could not hold the fortress, destroy their own structures and eliminate treasures and records so that nothing would fall into the hands of the invaders, protecting their sacred values until the very last moment? Another theory suggests that Vilcabamba gradually faded away due to its isolation in the deep jungle. Lack of food, outbreaks of disease, harsh climate, and relentless pursuit forced the inhabitants to flee or were slowly wiped out. Especially many modern explorers believe that the Incas secretly hid treasures, documents, and major secrets in underground areas that no one has found, and the collapse is merely the surface of a tragedy still buried in the Peruvian mountains and forests. To this day, no single theory can fully unravel the tragic fate of Vilcabamba, leaving posterity with a question that may never have a final answer: what truly happened in the dying days of the Inca Empire in this place? The fact that the Spanish discovered and wiped out the city so quickly, when for decades Vilcabamba had survived securely in the mountains, is strange. Why did secret paths and natural defenses that had saved so many Inca rulers suddenly become easily breached? Was there betrayal? Or were secrets leaked from within? Or was it simply that human strength could not withstand the march of time and Western weaponry? Local legends still say the spirits of Inca warriors guard this place, that treasures and secrets appear only to the worthy, while invaders will forever be lost in the foggy jungle. Some modern expeditions have reportedly gotten lost, encountered inexplicable phenomena, or felt unexplainable presences, adding yet another layer of mystery to these ruins. One reason Mount Vilcabamba Highland Ruins is so famous is the legends of lost Inca treasure, gold gems, priceless artifacts supposedly hidden somewhere in caves, mountains, or rivers nearby. The hunt for treasure began in the 19th century and continues today. No one has truly found the mountain of gold, but the search never ends. Some unofficial reports mention small pieces of gold or minor artifacts being found, but anything truly valuable to history or archaeology remains deep underground or has been lost to time and nature. Researching and excavating Mount Vilcabamba faces countless obstacles: treacherous terrain, humid weather, dangerous animals, and cultural or religious sensitivities from local communities. Many excavation projects have been halted or redirected for safety reasons or due to opposition from local heritage preservation groups. Furthermore, many areas remain unexplored or unstudied. Every meter of land, every stone here, may contain secrets of a lost civilization awaiting a new generation of scientists, passionate, brave, and respectful enough to continue the quest. Today, the Mount Vilcabamba highland ruins are not only the last symbol of Inca resilience, but also a source of inspiration for generations of researchers and creators. This place reminds us of the fragility of glory, the value of culture, and the unresolved mysteries of the past. The big questions remain: what truly happened at Vilcabamba? Are there still secrets buried beneath the stones? Mount Vilcabamba stands quietly amid the mist, a testament that some historical mysteries may never be fully answered. Hidden among the sheer cliffs of the Sipilus Range, in the ancient Anatolian land veiled by the dust of time, there is a colossal figure silently gazing down upon the vast plain below. No inscription, no explanation, only a stern face carved into stone and a silence that has lingered for thousands of years. The Mount Sipilus rock relief is not merely a work of art. It is like a mysterious message locked within the heart of the mountain, challenging all who come seeking answers. Every line on that stone face is a fragment of untold stories, forgotten rituals, and unanswered questions. What lies behind that ancient stone? Who carved this figure, and what did they truly wish to pass on to future generations? What do you think this mysterious rock carving truly means? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Mount Sipilus rock relief is not a statue nor a separate architectural structure, but a gigantic human figure deeply carved into the very face of the mountain. Although it has weathered and eroded through millennia, the overall form of the relief, with deep eyes, a serene face, and a solemn seated posture, still leaves a powerful impression on anyone standing before it. The relief stands almost 7 meters tall, with details now faded, but still enough to spark the imagination. Is it the goddess Cybele, the mother goddess of Anatolia, or perhaps a queen, immortalized in Greek myth? Niobe, the mother turned to stone by grief. It is not just the scale, but also the location of this relief that astonishes many. The artwork is situated in the middle of a steep slope, overlooking a vast plain, like a mysterious gatekeeper of the valley. Depicting such a grand figure in such a precarious location required not only exceptional technical skills, but also reveals a special intent and determinations of the ancients. And it is here that the biggest question emerges. For what reason did ancient people create this monument in such a place? There are many theories about when the relief was created. Some scholars believe it dates back to the 2nd millennium before Christ, during the Hittite period when rituals venerating Mother Earth Cybele spread throughout Anatolia. However, others suggest the relief might be even older, possibly belonging to a prehistoric culture not yet named in historical records. The absence of accompanying archaeological evidence, such as burials artifacts or auxiliary structures, only deepens the mystery of who actually created the relief. And this raises further curiosity: who were they? Why choose to carve a giant human figure onto a cliff instead of building a temple or erecting a separate statue as other civilizations did? If they were Hittites, why does the style of the relief not completely match contemporary works? If they were Luwians, or a culture even more ancient, what other secrets might this relief conceal that we have never even imagined? Mount Sipylus rock relief is not just a physical construction, it is closely tied to many legends. In ancient Anatolian culture, the relief is often associated with the goddess Cybele, the symbol of Mother Earth. The Greeks, however, viewed it as the image of Niobe, the mother turned to stone in her grief over losing her children. This relief is even mentioned in the works of Homer, adding to the site's mysterious aura. Given the technical conditions of ancient times, carving a nearly 7-meter-tall human figure into a sheer cliff is an extraordinary feat. No one has definitively explained the exact method the ancients used. Did they climb using scaffolding or employ secret pathways that have since eroded away? The mere act of choosing the location, determining proportions, and maintaining harmonious lines amidst nature was an immense challenge. Many experts believe the relief may have originally been painted or included details in wood metal or auxiliary symbols now erased by time. If so, Mount Sipylus rock relief would have been even more vibrant and impressive than what remains. The bare look we see today may just be the last shell of a once ornate work, making it impossible for us to know its original purpose with certainty. To this day, the true function of the Mount Sipylus rock relief remains a profound mystery that has never been fully resolved. There are no temples, traces of rituals, or clearly defined pathways around the relief, making the original purpose of this massive carving extremely difficult to understand. Why did the ancients choose to carve such a large human figure onto a remote, rugged cliff instead of building a religious structure down in the valley or near a settlement? If the relief was used for ritual worship, why have no traces of altars, offerings, or ritual artifacts been found? If it was a symbol of power for a tribe or a ruler, why does the relief face the vast natural landscape rather than the direction of the community? And why are there no accompanying signs of authority? If it was a memorial to a tragedy such as the legend of Niobe, then what is the real story behind it? Who was being remembered? And what made this image need to be carved into the mountains rather than erected as a standalone statue in a more visible location? Modern archaeologists and historians have proposed many different hypotheses to explain this mystery. Some believe the relief was a religious ceremonial center, representing the worship of Mother Earth Cybele, the source of life and fertility, where ancient people sent their wishes for protection and good harvests. Others lean toward the theory that the relief was a territorial marker of a powerful tribe asserting their control and influence over the vast plain below. There are also suggestions that the relief's position might be connected to astronomical phenomena chosen to mark significant events, such as the summer solstice, winter solstice, or seasonal changes. Some even argued that the relief is an eternal stone stele commemorating a real individual or a symbol of some collective tragedy that once occurred. However, all of these theories remain speculative. There are no ancient texts, archaeological artifacts, or local legends that completely explain the true meaning of the relief. The silence of the past makes Mount Sipylus rock relief one of Anatolia's greatest mysteries, prompting everyone to keep pondering, debating, and asking, what message did the ancients truly want to convey, and will we ever really understand them? From antiquity to the present day, the relief has remained silently bearing witness to countless historical upheavals, countless generations, countless civilizations, rising and falling. The legend of Niobe. The tale of Cybele, archaeological excavations, and even modern tourist groups are all merely temporary costumes the relief wears. Beneath it all, the relief still retains its original secret, rendering every debate and every new study merely an attempt to decode a cipher whose true owner carried the key to the grave thousands of years ago. Perhaps the greatest mystery is the very endurance of the relief itself, a message sent by our ancestors to their descendants that history is not always there to be solved. Sometimes the greatest value of the past lies in its silence, its ability to provoke curiosity, and its urge for humanity to never stop exploring. Located in Gujarat, Western India, the Girnar mountain range is not only a majestic natural landscape, but also the hiding place of one of South Asia's grandest and most mysterious religious temple complexes, Mount Girnar Jain Summit Temples. From the very first steps at the mountain's base, visitors are overwhelmed by spectacular scenery stone steps winding skyward, where thousand-year-old religious structures blend into the clouds, defying the erosion of time. Yet what keeps researchers, devotees, and travelers pondering is not just the beauty, but the countless mysteries surrounding the history and building techniques of these grand monuments on treacherous terrain. What do you think is the greatest mystery of the Mount Girnar Jain Summit Temples? If you could visit, what would you be most eager to explore? Share your thoughts in the comments below. To reach the Jain Temple complex on Girnar's peak, one must conquer more than 10,000 ancient stone steps, stretching for many kilometers, crossing steep cliffs and perilous mountain slopes. For centuries, this pilgrimage path has been both a physical ordeal and a spiritual journey, testing the sincerity and resolve of anyone seeking the sacred and mysterious. This path also reveals the first mysteries: who designed, organized, and built this endlessly winding stone stairway amid such treacherous mountains, yet kept it sturdy and balanced for centuries. The massive stone blocks, the steps, all so uniform, so perfectly proportioned, that many are astounded by the ancient builder's technical prowess. At the highest point of Girnar stands a cluster of ancient Jain temples, the most prominent being the Neminath Temple, considered one of the oldest and most sacred Jain temples in the world. Neminath, together with others like Malinath and Parshvanath, were constructed mainly from granite, a stone incredibly hard, each block weighing tens of tons. The architectural composition is meticulously and intricately carved. Domes, pillars, and arches are covered in religious motifs, sacred figures, and abstract patterns. Looking at these structures, many experts admit their sophistication and solidity far exceed what anyone might expect from builders of the 9th to 11th centuries. Some details are so precise down to the millimeter that even today's stone-cutting tools struggle to achieve such accuracy, especially on such high, cramped, and perilous sites. The greatest enigma of Mount Girnar Jain Summit Temples lies in how our ancestors transported and assembled thousands of massive stones atop the perilous peak. Historical records are silent about the methods used. All that remains are vague legends and perplexing technical traces. Girnar's summit is over 1,000 meters high, surrounded by steep slopes and sheer cliffs. Without mechanization, no modern cranes or wide roads hauling hundreds of tons of stone to the top seems almost impossible. Many scientists theorize that the ancients might have built temporary transport routes using pulleys, wooden rollers, huge ropes, human strength, and even animals. Yet no concrete evidence for such large-scale systems has been found. Some suggest that to construct such a complex would have required coordination of thousands of skilled workers laboring continuously for decades, yet archaeological data shows that the local population was never that large during that era. This is truly a paradox that no one has resolved. Not only is the transport of materials mysterious, but the very techniques of joining, erecting pillars, constructing domes, and finishing the stonework amaze modern engineers. The towering columns, onion-shaped domes, and relief sculptures are joined without modern adhesives, like cement, only with stone pegs and interlocking grooves crafted with stunning precision. Some temple foundations are built directly on natural bedrock, exploiting the mountain's contours, both to ensure stability and minimize the impact of earthquakes and harsh weather. Despite enduring many centuries and major earthquakes, the temples remain standing unbowed, uncracked, unlike many other structures from the same era in India. Some archaeologists think the ancients understood Girnar's geology, choosing foundation sites and designing domes and columns to optimally distribute force, perhaps even using mechanical principles only recently decoded by modern science. Yet direct evidence of this knowledge has not been found, leaving a huge gap in the history of ancient construction technology. Beyond structural ingenuity, the walls, pillars, and ceilings of Girnar's Jain temples are densely covered in thousands of images, motifs, and mythological symbols. Some scholars believe these patterns serve not only decorative or religious purposes, but also encode sacred codes, cosmological principles, or even mathematical, astronomical, and geographic knowledge possessed by ancient builders. Some motifs repeat in significant numbers. Strange lines appear at strategic points, like clues meant for the chosen ones to unlock the temple's true meaning. Some local legends even say that only those who are truly spiritually awakened can perceive the deeper meaning of these patterns. To ordinary people, they remain merely enigmatic decorations. At the mountain's base and around Girnar's temples remain many ancient stone steles, inscribed in Old Brahmi and Devanagari scripts, some now faded with the centuries. Some record historical events, donors' kings, or restoration campaigns. Many others are hard-to-translate texts, filled with cryptic words and symbols that scholars fiercely debate. Questions abound. Do any of these hold messages about building technology or secret techniques left for posterity by earlier generations? Local legends add more mystery tales of gods helping humans erect temples in a single night, or stones moving by themselves when people chant sacred verses. Though mythical, these stories clearly reflect the awe and bewilderment of later generations when confronted with structures beyond ordinary scientific explanation. Mount Girnar is not solely a Jain holy land, but a meeting point for Hindu and Buddhist devotees as well, with temples, monasteries, and relics interwoven along the mountain's slopes. This blend also raises major historical questions. Could this have been a center of cultural exchange, a secret school where sages passed down knowledge to future generations? Or are there still hidden structures, secret passages, or treasure chambers concealed within the mountain awaiting discovery? Many travelers and pilgrims recount that when approaching Girnar's summit temples, they feel strange energy. Some feel light and at peace, others are chilled by an indescribable sense of sanctity. On moonlit nights, mysterious lights sometimes dance around the spires, or strange echoes resound from the cliffs, though no one is near. Science has yet to explain these phenomena, making Girnar's temple complex even more shrouded in endless mystery. Mount Girnar Jain Summit. Temples are not just religious relics, but symbols of determination, creativity, and humanity's drive to conquer nature, leaving future generations with unanswered questions. The greatest mysteries of their history and construction technology remain intact. Who were the designers? What tools and techniques did they use to create this fortress in the clouds? Are there secrets still sleeping beneath the stone layers, waiting for descendants to reveal? Perhaps each step up Girnar's stone staircase is not only a journey toward ancient temples, but also a voyage back through time, confronting the mysteries of history, of human knowledge, and of faith itself, that people can achieve miracles even in what seem like impossible conditions. Beneath the silent hills of northern Syria lies a secret far older than Babylon, older than the legends of Sumer and Akkad. Here, buried under centuries of dust and war, stand the shattered remains of Tel Halaf, a civilization whose origins slip through the cracks of recorded time. What power built these domed houses, and painted these intricate vessels, who shaped the clay into enigmatic symbols, and why did their world vanish without leaving a single written word? Tel Halaf is more than an archaeological site. It is a message from the shadows of prehistory, a puzzle written in earth and stone, daring us to remember a chapter humanity has almost forgotten. What do you think happened to the mysterious people of Tel Halaf? Share your theories in the comments below. The roots of Tel Halaf stretch back to roughly 100 BCE, a time when human society was making the slow but steady transition from mobile hunter-gatherer bands to settled agricultural communities. Unlike the more arid regions further south, the valleys around the Kabul River were fertile and teeming with life. Here, early villages built what would become the heart of the Halaf culture, a network of settlements, of which Tel Halaf was the most significant, blending innovation with a striking artistic sensibility. One of the most remarkable features of Tel Halaf is its architecture. The ruins reveal structures far ahead of their time, circular domed buildings known as tholos, with thick walls crafted from sun-dried mud brick and topped by ingenious corbelled roofs. This was not the work of simple farmers improvising with available materials. It demonstrated an understanding of weight distribution and construction stability that would not be widely adopted until centuries later. Some foundations bear subtle signs of anti-seismic design, raised floors, and reinforced corners, hinting at a people deeply attuned to their environment and its risks. But the architectural secrets of Tel Halaf go further. Excavations have unearthed evidence of complex water management channels and wells integrated within the village plan, possibly to ensure survival through unpredictable seasons. These advances set the Halafians apart. As more than mere subsistence farmers, they were problem solvers, innovators, and perhaps, for their era, master builders. The artistic legacy of Tel Halaf is embodied in its pottery, unparalleled in the prehistoric world. Halaf ceramics are instantly recognizable, finely made, thin-walled, and adorned with intricate geometric motifs, animal figures, and abstract symbols. Their vivid palette, reds, blacks, oranges, was achieved using advanced firing techniques, evidence of a sophisticated understanding of chemistry and temperature control. Yet the deeper mystery lies in the purpose and meaning of these designs. Many pieces feature recurring motifs, spirals, checkerboards, and stylized eyes. Some scholars suggest these symbols had religious or magical significance, perhaps linked to fertility cults or ancestor worship, but their true meanings remain elusive. Compounding the puzzle, similar pottery has been found across a vast area, reaching deep into Turkey and Iran, implying a vast web of exchange communication and perhaps even shared ideology spanning hundreds of kilometers. Tel Halaf shows no traces of palaces or a clear ruling class. Instead, communal spaces and clusters of tholos houses suggest a society organized around families or collectives. Spiritually, many small clay figurines depicting women, animals, and mysterious symbols have been found, indicating they may have worshipped a mother goddess or held communal rituals. However, the true religious beliefs of the Halaf people remain largely unexplained. But it is the mystery of Halaf's disappearance that most haunts the ruins of Tel Halaf. Around 5100 BCE, after nearly 1,000 years of cultural flowering, the distinctive ceramics, tholos houses, and communal traditions simply vanish from the archaeological record. In their place, a new culture known as Ubaid emerges with different pottery styles, new settlement patterns, and a more hierarchical social order. What happened to the Halafians? Theories abound, but none satisfy fully. There is no clear evidence of war or invasion. The layers at Tel Halaf show little destruction or burning, and no mass graves or signs of violence have been found. nor do the environmental records suggest a catastrophic drought or flood during this transitional period. Although subtle climate shifts could have played a role, one leading theory is that gradual assimilation occurred. As new groups moved in, perhaps seeking the fertile lands of the Kaba Valley, the Halafians may have intermarried, adopted new customs, and been absorbed over generations. Yet this does not explain the abruptness with which Halaf artifacts cease. Others suggest that epidemic disease or an internal social collapse disrupted the community so thoroughly that its traditions could not survive, but again, direct evidence is lacking. Even more tantalizing is the possibility that the Halafians migrated en masse, leaving Tel Halaf and similar sites behind in search of better opportunities or driven by some now-forgotten spiritual or political imperative. However, there is little trace of where they might have gone, and no definitive Halaf diaspora has been uncovered elsewhere. The shift from Halaf to Ubaid is one of the most abrupt and unexplained cultural turnovers in the ancient Near East. Archaeologists continue to debate whether the Halaf culture was peacefully assimilated, forcibly displaced, or wiped out by an invisible calamity. Some point to changes in pottery and architecture as evidence of population movement. Others argue for gradual cultural blending and transformation. All agree, however, that the Halaf story ends with more questions than answers. A ghost civilization whose innovations and art were extinguished in the dark, leaving only fragments for us to decipher. Adding to the mystery, Tel Halaf's influence extended far beyond its immediate region. Halaf pottery and other artifacts have been found at sites hundreds of kilometers away, suggesting a network of trade or cultural contact that predated the famous trade routes of later millennia. This raises new questions. Were the Halafians the center of a proto-civilization, sending their goods and ideas far afield, or were they one hub among many in a prehistoric global village? The breadth of this network is striking. Pottery shards matching Halaf styles have turned up in Anatolia, the Iranian plateau, and deep into the Caucasus. How did such a widespread artistic tradition arise in an age before writing or wheeled transport? Was it the result of itinerant craftsmen, migrating families, or long-distance barter? Each possibility reveals a picture of prehistory more connected and more complex than previously imagined. Among the ruins of Tel Halaf, archaeologists have found objects that defy easy classification. Small, polished stones with unknown purpose, enigmatic clay tokens, and figurines with animal-human hybrids. Some have suggested astronomical functions or ritual uses. Others believe they were teaching tools, currency, or even children's toys. The truth for now remains locked in the past. Although their story ended in mystery, the achievements of the Halaf people left a lasting mark. Many later cultures, such as Sumer and Akkad, continued their pottery techniques, architecture, and social organization. However, Tel Halaf is special because it reminds us that much of humanity's shared past has been swept away by time. The disappearance of the Halaf people is not only an archaeological mystery, but also a reflection of the fragility of civilization itself. If you ever walk along the Mediterranean coast, you'll find places where history seems not just forgotten, but deliberately hidden beneath layers of earth ashes and the silence of passing centuries. Ugarit is one of those names, a city that once lit up the ancient world, where some of the earliest written words were inscribed, where mythology and commerce, war and peace coexisted in every surviving clay tablet and stone. Strangely, all that glory vanished in an instant, leaving behind a mute wasteland for millennia. What cast Ugarit into darkness, what transformed a proud civilization into a legend buried beneath the ruins, and what secrets still wait to be uncovered beneath those silent stone? What do you think is the real cause behind the fall of Ugarit? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Ugarit was once one of the most bustling port cities of the Mediterranean. Strong walls, vast squares, networks of palaces, temple granaries, underground passages, and seaports created a radiant urban complex around the 14th century BCE. But what made Ugarit renowned worldwide was the invention of the Ugaritic alphabet, with 30 wedge-shaped characters, considered one of the very first alphabets in human history. From here, the foundation of modern writing began to take shape, laying the very first stone for the development of thought, the transmission of knowledge, and global language. At Ugarit, archaeologists unearthed more than 1,000 clay tablets containing every type of document: trade contracts, diplomatic texts, economic records, laws, poetry, myths, and religious rituals. The most outstanding is the Baal cycle, the only surviving source on ancient Canaanite beliefs, where powerful deities like Baal and Anat governed the spiritual life of Ugarit's people. The underground library of Ugarit has made this place an invaluable treasure for modern scholars, seeking the roots of language, religion, and even the history of the entire Near East. Ugarit was a meeting point for many major cultures: Egypt, Hittite, Cyprus, Mesopotamia, Amorite. The city was a vital stop along trade routes between East and West, wealthy thanks to exporting timber, copper, grains, olive oil, and importing gold, silver, glass, and luxury items from everywhere. The remaining relics show that Ugarit developed multi-layered walls, solid underground tunnels, coastal fortresses, and magnificent palaces, all reflecting a level of technical prowess, social organization, and culture that surpassed its time. Behind all the splendor, Ugarit is still a city of unresolved mysteries. Archaeologists still cannot fully explain the complex network of underground passages, places believed to store treasures, secret escape routes, or even dark ceremonial chambers serving mystical rituals. Many rooms worship statues, and strange artifacts blending elements from different regions make Ugarit a crossroads of the world, where all ancient human spirituality and knowledge converged. The disappearance of Ugarit is not just a historical event, but one of the greatest mysteries ever to haunt ancient archaeology. Around the end of the 12th century BCE, when the city was at the peak of its prosperity, all activities suddenly came to a halt without any warning. Archaeologists have found thick layers of ash-blackened scorch marks still visible on the fortress walls, ruined buildings, and countless broken artifacts scattered throughout the rubble. Notably, several clay tablets still bear desperate pleas for help, sent to allies describing an enemy advancing rapidly, the city teetering on the brink of collapse, yet not a single name is mentioned. It all feels like the traces of a sudden catastrophe, one that overwhelmed the city's ability to defend and prepare itself. One of the most prominent theories holds that Ugarit was destroyed by the Sea People's mysterious groups who emerged at the same time, spreading terror across the ancient Mediterranean and wiping out many great cities within just a few short decades. But even today, the true identity, objectives, and motives of these groups remain unanswered questions. They were like phantoms sweeping away entire civilizations in a wave of violence, leaving gaps in history that can never be filled. Besides the warfare hypothesis, many researchers lean toward the possibility that Ugarit was devastated by natural disasters, a series of earthquakes followed by fires, disease outbreaks, and then chaos, which unraveled the entire social structure. The geology of the region reveals many large fissures. Ruins collapsed in unusual patterns, all suggesting a violent chain of natural upheavals. Some scholars emphasize the role of climate change, prolonged drought, consecutive crop failures, famine, internal revolts, and a gradually weakening army. When neighboring key ports were also attacked, or lost control, the international trade network that once sustained Ugarit's power instantly collapsed, leaving the city isolated and helpless against every threat. Yet what puzzles researchers most is the strange inconsistency in the final records found at Ugarit. Diplomatic letters still discuss trade deals with no mention of impending doom, as if the city's leaders were completely blindsided by disaster. Was Ugarit wiped out in just a few days, or were all levels of authority truly powerless in the face of a catastrophe beyond imagination? After that fateful day, Ugarit disappeared completely from human memory for thousands of years. The ruined palaces, deeply buried clay tablets, the library turned to ash, the fortresses engulfed in earth and stone, all were only rediscovered thanks to modern excavations in the early 20th century. Until today, Ugarit's great achievements in language, culture, and science remain a source of inspiration and deep fascination for researchers. What allowed such a small city to exist and flourish for centuries along the highway of empires? How did the Ugaritic people invent an advanced alphabet, preserve a gigantic cultural treasury, and build such complex defensive systems? And most importantly, who or what caused Ugarit and countless other ancient Mediterranean civilizations to collapse in darkness without a final answer? The ruins of Ugarit are a haunting reminder of the fragility of civilization. A city once at the center of the world, with writing, science, art, and peak culture, could be erased in an instant by a force of unknown shape. The mystery of Ugarit's fall is not just a story of the past, but also a warning about the limits of knowledge power and the sense of security that humanity has always assumed. Standing alone amid the scorching deserts of Sistan in eastern Iran, Mount Kui Khwaja is not just an ancient fortress, it is an eternal symbol of riddles that have never been answered in human history. Constructed on top of a gigantic flat volcanic mountain, this site resembles a solitary oasis in the arid desert, becoming the only cultural and religious beacon in a vast, desolate land. For thousands of years, Mount Kui Khwaja has continued to fascinate archaeologists, historians, and travelers with its majestic beauty, its advanced architectural design for its era, and above all, one question that remains unresolved. Why was such a bustling, sacred, and strategically vital center abandoned, left to fall into oblivion, its ruins scattered to this very day? What do you think of this mystery? In your opinion, what is the real reason Mount Kui Khwaja was abandoned? Leave a comment and share your perspective. Kui Khwaja is a flat-topped mountain, prominent in the low, sunken, and dried-up basin of Lake Hamun, a region long regarded as inhospitable to life. This feature created an almost invulnerable isolation, allowing the site to escape major invasions throughout many periods of history. Since ancient times, this unique location helped Mount Kui Khwaja become a crossroads of religious, military, commercial, and cultural exchanges, for all of Sistan, a meeting point for the great civilizations of Persia, Greece, and India. Archaeological evidence shows the site dates back at least to the end of the Parthian era, around the 1st century BCE, but many architectural and artifact layers prove it was repurposed and renovated over centuries during the Sassanid dynasty, the early Islamic period, and even by local powers. Plaster layers, walls, and small items such as coins, pottery figurines, and murals all bear the unmistakable mark of Greco-Persian Indian fusion, reflecting a once thriving center of cultural and religious diversity. Inside the fortress lies a complex network of rooms, massive surrounding walls, storage granaries, ceremonial chambers, long corridors, and most notably, a water supply and drainage system exceptionally advanced for its age. This demonstrates the high level of social organization, architecture, and engineering of those who built Mount Kui Khwaja. The monument was not only for defense, but also served as a place for residents' community activity, religious ceremony, and safeguarding the resources of a vast region. Ancient Persian legends recount that Mount Kui Khwaja was the site of many important events involving prophets and legendary heroes like Siavash, an immortal symbol in the Shahnameh epic. Many scholars believe this was one of the last sanctuaries of the Zoroastrian faith, the oldest religion of Iran before the spread of Islam. Every chamber and wall is imbued with a sacred atmosphere, serving as the stage for soul-purifying rituals, prayers for prosperity and protection from darkness and evil spirits. Although Mount Kui Khwaja was once a prosperous, sacred, and strategic center, it was mysteriously abandoned, leaving behind no clear historical records explaining the reasons or the moment of its decline. This stands as the greatest question haunting generations of scholars and explorers who face these desolate ruins in the desert. All the theories proposed are intriguing and plausible, yet none has proven entirely convincing. The first theory centers on climate change. Many studies indicate that the Hamun Basin once provided abundant water, sustaining a dense population both on the mountain and across the surrounding plains. However, climatic fluctuations and prolonged droughts gradually transformed the lake into a barren desert, cutting off the main lifeline and forcing people to leave. Yet traces of wells and water storage facilities remain intact, proving that the community struggled for a long time before finally abandoning their homeland. Second, the strategic location of Mount Kui Khwaja along trade and military routes meant it was repeatedly caught in fierce conflicts between the Parthian Sassanid and early Islamic dynasties. Some burnt and destroyed artifacts may be evidence of wars or invasions, but many other areas remain untouched and unlooted, suggesting perhaps the inhabitants evacuated peacefully as new powers arrived. Third, the intense religious transformation from Zoroastrianism to Islam might also be a cause. As the old faith gradually weakened and was suppressed, this sacred center lost its significance, prompting residents to leave as their beliefs could no longer be protected. Additionally, the possibility of a sudden disaster, such as plague or a natural catastrophe, cannot be ruled out, which might have forced the entire community to relocate abruptly. However, there is no evidence of chaos, mass graves, or panic that typically marks places struck by such calamities, making this hypothesis even more mysterious. Finally, the isolated location and gradual depletion of resources may have eroded the community's vitality over time. As the younger generation departed, those remaining eventually left as well, leaving behind an empty fortress, slowly buried each day by desert winds. It is the overlap and ambiguity of these theories that fuel the endless allure of Mount Kui Khwaja, making it one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in the ancient history of the Middle East. Modern excavations have uncovered hundreds of shards, brightly colored murals, reliefs, and small statues in a blend of Greek, Persian, and Indian styles, proof of the site's former role as a great cultural crossroads. Especially noteworthy are murals depicting mythology heroes and religious ceremonies, yet not a single painting shows chaos or doom. The reservoirs and underground canals reveal extraordinary construction techniques, even though today this area is bone dry. Mount Kui Khwaja was not only sacred to the ancient Iranians, but today it remains an important pilgrimage destination for local communities during festivals. Many local legends recall this holy mountain as a place where souls are purified and protected from evil. Some archaeologists believe the unique architectural features, defensive layout, and ceremonial arrangements here became the template for later highland fortresses in Iran, Afghanistan, and even Central Asia. In the end, Mount Kui Khwaja is like a hidden treasure buried in the desert sands, silently witnessing millennia of change without giving up all its secrets. Its sudden rise, prosperity, and inexplicable decline are the greatest challenges for archaeologists, causing anyone who sets foot here to wonder, what really happened? What made a proud, wealthy, and sacred community abandon their homeland? Did they leave a message for the future? Or is everything left only in the crumbling bricks, cracked walls, and the mysterious whispers of the desert wind? Mount Kui Kwaja is a symbol of the human spirit's aspiration and a warning about the fragility of civilizations. Though abandoned and worn down by time, this place retains a mesmerizing allure, becoming Siston's final unsolved riddle. Every stone, every remnant seems to send a message. Some mysteries of the past cannot always be explained by modern logic. And sometimes it is this very silence that is most captivating. Atop the windswept heights of ancient Israel lies a monument whose secrets not even time itself can erase. Standing alone, on the barren rocky slopes north of Shechem, the Mount Ebal altar site challenges every generation. Who built this place, and for what purpose? It is not the ruin of a fortress, nor does it resemble any ancient farmhouse or dwelling. This massive stone structure rises like a great question mark in the heart of history. Beneath its rough stones are layers of ash, animal bones, and traces of strange rituals, all silently telling the story of an era long vanished. Since its discovery by Adam Zertal in the early 1980s, this site has sparked fierce debate among archaeologists and inspired countless theories beyond imagination. Is this truly the legendary altar of Joshua, or merely a ritual monument from some mysterious, now forgotten culture? What do you think lies behind the mystery of the Mount Ebal altar? Was it truly built by Joshua? Or do you have another theory? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Mount Ebal, rising nearly 940 meters above sea level, is a harsh and lonely place. For millennia, it has looked down on Shechem, modern Nablus, a crossroads of ancient cultures and conquests. Yet the slopes of Ebal are barren, unwelcoming, and almost completely devoid of settlement or agriculture, making the discovery in 1980 of a massive, carefully constructed platform all the more peculiar. Adam Zertal and his team surveying the area uncovered what they described as a monumental altar, a rectangular structure over 9 meters long, built of unworked field stones and surrounded by walls, ramps, and secondary installations. No houses, no storage rooms, no granaries. Instead, everywhere were signs of fire and sacrifice animal bones, mainly from kosher species such as sheep, goats, and cattle, and thick layers of ash from controlled ritualistic burning. The structure's uniqueness is its greatest puzzle. The main installation, raised above the surrounding ground by a platform, features ramps and stairs reminiscent of biblical descriptions of altars, yet it does not match any typical Canaanite, Egyptian, or Mesopotamian temple plan of the same period. Zertal's team noted the lack of domestic pottery tools or refused no sign of daily life, only repeated deliberate acts of burning and offering. Around the altar, stone walls and enclosures suggest a space set apart, perhaps for large gatherings or processions. Pits and secondary stone circles imply ritual activity spanning generations as layers of offerings built up year after year. But the site is too remote, too barren, and too costly to build for any agricultural or settlement purpose. Every stone had to be carried, every act of construction, requiring a dedicated, organized community or a driven, visionary leader. Almost immediately, Zertal's claim that this was Joshua's altar on Mount Ebal, a site described in the book of Joshua, Deuteronomy, and repeated in Jewish tradition, sparked a firestorm in archaeological circles. If true, it would be the first direct material evidence of an Israelite presence in Canaan, and perhaps the first real Bible site ever discovered. But the consensus did not follow. Many archaeologists rejected the claim, proposing alternate theories. The site was a simple stone heap, a watchtower, a farmhouse, or a storage silo. Some argued it was a communal tomb or a cultic platform unrelated to Israelite tradition. Critics pointed to the lack of inscriptions, the absence of clear architectural parallels, or the uncertain dating of the ceramics and bones found on site. Despite these objections, the site's details stubbornly resist mundane explanations. The bones are almost entirely from animals permitted as sacrificial offerings in ancient Israelite law. The pottery is early Iron Age, exactly the period described in Joshua. The remote location, far from any village, makes domestic or agricultural use unlikely. The structure's plan, though unique, matches key details in ancient texts: an altar built of unhewn stone with no steps in favor of a ramp set apart on a mountain as a public monument. In the decades since Zertal's initial excavation, Mount Ebal has not ceased to surprise. In the years 2019 to 2022, renewed study of the dump piles from the original dig revealed a tiny folded lead tablet, just centimeters wide, inscribed with characters believed to be ancient Hebrew. Some scholars claim it is the earliest known Hebrew inscription, possibly a curse formula echoing the biblical account of blessings and curses recited on Mount Ebal and Mount Gerizim. If proven authentic, it would push back the timeline of Hebrew literacy and biblical tradition by centuries. Yet, as with the altar itself, this cursed tablet is mired in controversy. Its origin, reading, and dating are hotly debated. Was it left by Israelites or a different, now vanished group? Is it a magical charm, a legal document, or a simple scribble? And what does it say about the community that once climbed Mount Ebal with their sacrifices and their secrets? Amidst all the data, the greatest riddle remains: what was the true purpose of the Mount Ebal altar site, and who were its builders? The evidence points overwhelmingly to ritual use. The animal bones burnt in place match only the types prescribed for sacrificial worship in ancient Israelite law. The ashes layered year upon year speak of repeated ceremonies, perhaps major festivals, perhaps national gatherings, perhaps secret rites lost to time. Yet the sheer scale and isolation of the site raise further questions. Why here? Why spend such effort building a monument in such a forbidding spot? Far from fertile valleys and fresh water, was this a center of pilgrimage, a national altar for a migrating people? Or was it a boundary marker, a claim to the land by a tribe asserting its faith and identity in the face of hostile neighbors? If Zertal's identification is correct, this altar would be the first and oldest direct archaeological link to the Exodus and conquest narratives, proof that at least some core of the biblical story is rooted in fact. For many, this is a powerful, almost sacred idea. For others, it is wishful thinking, reading meaning into stones that cannot speak for themselves. The lack of contemporary inscriptions, the uniqueness of the structure, and the lack of clear cultural context have led some to wonder if this was an altar at all, or the product of a forgotten tradition, a vanished people whose rites were only dimly remembered by the time the biblical texts were written. Today, the Mount Ebal altar site is at the center of fierce debate, not only among archaeologists, but also among religious and political leaders. Access is limited. The site sits in a contested region, and excavations are sporadic and sometimes controversial. Each new find sparks another round of argument, another piece of a puzzle whose picture is never complete. The real builders of Mount Ebal may never be known. Were they Israelites, as the evidence seems to lean, or a different group whose memory was overwritten by later texts? Was the altar built at a single moment as a triumphal act of conquest and faith, or did it grow over generations, evolving as rituals changed and memories faded? In the end, Mount Ebal's greatest mystery is its silence. The stones hold their secrets, the ashes hold their prayers, and the mountain stands watch over a history that is both hauntingly close and impossibly distant. The Mount Ebal altar site is one of the greatest archaeological mysteries still existing in Israel. Whether it is truly the altar of Joshua, as legend suggests, or a ritual monument belonging to another ancient culture, this place continues to spark curiosity, debate, and the yearning for understanding among modern people. Every stone, every layer of ash, every fragment of animal bone is a challenge sent from the past, reminding us that the true mystery lies not only in its function or the identity of its builders, but also in humanity's relentless desire to explore and seek answers. When mentioning the city of Petra, most people immediately think of majestic temples and tombs carved deep into the fiery red cliffs of the Jordanian desert, winding ancient roads, weaving between towering rock faces, or the mysterious legends about the Nabatean civilization that once dominated this land more than 2,000 years ago. However, amidst the countless architectural masterpieces in Petra, there remain structures that the more we study, the more modern people are fascinated by, one of which is the phenomenon of Petra obelisk alignment, the mysterious appearance and arrangement of obelisk stone pillars throughout this city. How do you think the Nabateans managed to quarry, transport, and erect such massive obelisks with ancient technology? Did they have lost techniques we still can't explain today? Share your ideas in the comments below. The obelisk is a classic symbol of ancient Egyptian civilization. Tall, slender stone pillars reaching toward the sky, representing the power of the sun, immortality, and the connection between the earthly realm and the divine. Yet at Petra, a crossroads of many major cultures, from Egypt, Mesopotamia to Greco-Roman, the image of the obelisk appears in a completely different context, opening up countless theories about the origin, meaning, and technical capabilities of the Nabateans. One of the most impressive structures is the obelisk tomb, an obelisk tomb located right at Petra's main entrance. Above its facade stand four massive obelisk pillars, like stone spears, piercing straight into the blue sky. Alongside these are numerous other natural and man-made stone pillars, scattered across the city with alignments that are not random, seemingly carefully considered in terms of direction, location, and possibly even connection to major astronomical events. Beneath its calm and ancient exterior, Petra hides within itself many mysteries that even the most seasoned archaeologists have yet to unravel. However, what troubles modern researchers most is not only the symbolic meaning, but the very question: how, by what means, and with what technology did the Nabateans over 2,000 years ago manage to construct, quarry, transport, and arrange such massive stone obelisks in such a treacherous natural environment? To imagine this challenge, first, one must understand Petra's terrain. The entire city lies among towering sandstone mountains, many deep ravines and narrow gorges, arid climate, water scarcity, and stone that is mainly a type of sandstone relatively prone to weathering, yet extremely difficult to extract into large blocks without cracking. Under such conditions, the idea of cutting, shaping, transporting, and erecting obelisk stone pillars from several meters to over 10 meters tall, weighing tens or even hundreds of tons, is far from simple. Research on the remaining traces shows that the Nabateans used incredibly precise stone quarrying techniques. They selected intact sandstone blocks and used iron or copper tools, which existed but were very rudimentary at the time, to chisel and shave layer by layer without leaving many cracks or breaks. especially with naturally standing obelisks. The Nabateans may have selected naturally protruding stone pillars from the sandstone base, then chiseled around and removed excess rock to create the obelisk shape, a process requiring almost absolute precision to avoid toppling or breaking the pillar during construction. This shows that they not only possessed superior stoneworking skills, but also had a deep understanding of geological properties and the strength of each sandstone layer. The problem becomes even tougher for fully man-made obelisks, that is, those that had to be cut, transported from the quarry to the erection site, and then raised or hauled up cliffs to desired heights. To this day, archaeologists have found no clear evidence of machinery pulleys or ancient tracks at Petra. Some theories suggest the Nabateans used inclined planes, special wooden levers, or harnessed the power of humans and animals for hauling. However, Petra's challenge lies in limited space. Many areas are extremely narrow, such as the Sigu Gorge steep gradients and high risk of heavy stone sliding landslides or shattering. Modern simulations show that to drag and erect an obelisk 8 meters tall and over 50 tons in weight at Petra might require hundreds of people working in unison using a system of pulleys, wooden ramps, rollers, and large amounts of sand and rubble as cushioning during movement. Still, the entire process demands extremely high labor organization precision, down to the centimeter. Something that until the 20th century, humanity only dared to attempt with cranes and specialized machinery. Moreover, Petra's climate is extremely harsh, and summer temperatures can reach 40 degrees Celsius. Nights are freezing, and risks of dehydration and work accidents are ever present. Thus, the biggest question remains: did the Nabateans possess some special technique or tool that posterity has never known? Or were they simply bold, resilient, and exceptionally creative compared to other civilizations of their time? The mystery does not end there. Many obelisks in Petra are not merely standing stones, but are arranged along very precise alignments, such as axes connecting major tombs, temples, or oriented towards sunrise, sunset, on special days of the year, solstices, equinoxes. Some studies using GPS technology and geometric analysis indicate that these large obelisks were not erected randomly, but were the result of a process of surveying, measuring, and overall design for the entire city of Petra. This further strengthens theories of a state-of-the-art technical capability, even approaching what ancient Egypt achieved when building the obelisks at Luxor and Karnak. Researchers have also discovered small traces, such as stone grooves, cable holes, and chocks of wood or stone around the bases of some obelisks, proving that the Nabateans may have applied many classical techniques to ease the load when moving and erecting these pillars. However, with the overwhelming size and weight of many obelisks at Petra, it is still impossible to fully explain all the technical challenges related to vibration resistance, avoiding cracks, and balancing entire stone masses on uneven surfaces. Another mystery is that some of the large obelisks at Petra were erected in perilous locations, clinging to cliff edges or atop extremely hard-to-reach rock shelves. Bringing materials to these heights, as well as the detailed chiseling and shaping, required not only skilled labor, but also meticulous planning coordination among hundreds of people and a steely willpower from the entire community. In many respects, these techniques astonish modern experts, even leading some to wonder if there was some hidden assistance from history, such as special tools, complex pulley systems, pneumatic lifting, or other creative solutions never recorded in any document. Besides pure technical aspects, the alignment of obelisks at Petra raises further questions among archaeologists about their deeper symbolic meaning. Perhaps in addition to marking tombs and temples, the obelisks also served as spatial temporal markers for the whole city, connecting centers of power, ritual, and belief in a vast sacred grid. Other theories suggest that the obelisk axes at Petra might connect to astronomical sites outside the city, serving as signposts for caravans, pilgrims, or as markers for important ceremonial locations at special times of the year. Even after centuries, Petra obelisk alignment remains a great mystery, proving that the Nabateans possess skills and vision far beyond their time. The massive obelisks, precise alignments, and construction traces at Petra are a challenge to future generations. Have we truly unraveled all the secrets here? Each surviving obelisk is a reminder that many ancient techniques may be lost forever. This mystery will continue to inspire generations of researchers, for behind those sandstone layers lies the unfinished story of humanity, and Petra itself is the gateway to new discoveries for the future. Hidden away on the desolate highlands of Puno, where the cold winds have swept across Lake Titicaca for millennia, Aramumuru is not the remnant of some illustrious civilization or the ruins of a once mighty empire now lost to time. Instead, it stands as an odd incision, carved into living rock, a silent doorway, solitary, amidst wild nature, leading nowhere and containing nothing within but absolute mystery. It is precisely this ambiguity that has made Aramumuru a strange magnet, drawing in not only the curiosity of archaeologists, but also serving as an endless source of inspiration for outlandish legends and theories far beyond the imagination of humankind. Behind that seemingly inert slab of stone lie countless unanswered questions. Who created it? Why was this site chosen? And is this truly just a cut in the rock, or does it conceal a secret that both history and modern science are powerless to unravel? What do you think is the real origin of Aramumuru? Is it just an abandoned relic, or a gateway to a secret yet to be unlocked by humanity? Share your thoughts below. From the very first glance, Aramumuru evokes a strange sensation. It is a massive granite slab more than 7 meters high, about 7 meters wide, with an almost perfectly flat face, and in the middle is a rectangular doorway over 2 meters tall and more than 1 meter wide. At the foot of the gate is a small hollow, perhaps to place something, a lock, an altar, or something even more mysterious. The most surprising fact, this door leads absolutely nowhere. Behind it lies only solid bedrock, with no passage, no hidden chamber, and no sign of practical use as an entryway. Seen from afar, it resembles a celestial gate, eternally sealed, both a challenge and an enigma for anyone who stands before it. While most Inca or pre-Inca sites usually leave behind clues in their dating materials, tools, or legends for reference, Aramumuru seems to stand apart from every known historical pattern. There are no carvings, no bas-reliefs, no artifacts, and no definitive means to determine the date of construction. Modern archaeologists have yet to reach any conclusion on exactly who created this gateway, when, or for what purpose. Some believe Aramumuru is the work of a pre-Inca civilization, possibly the Colla de Lupaca, or even an unknown group that lived around Lake Titicaca thousands of years ago. However, the architectural style, with sharp-cut lines, a mirror-like stone surface, and especially the small hollow at the foot of the door, is unlike any other known Inca or pre-Inca monument in the region. A more daring hypothesis claims that this structure is far older, possibly belonging to a civilization that has vanished entirely, a deep prehistory civilization referenced by some fringe scholars such as Lemuria Mu, or even extraterrestrials, according to pseudo-scientific theories. They argue that the sophisticated stoneworking, polished surfaces, and perfect right angles features even the Inca, famed for their stonework, would find difficult to achieve at such scale and precision, serve as evidence for a technology far beyond our current understanding. It is notable that many mainstream scholars believe Aramumuru is merely an abandoned ancient project, perhaps an unfinished temple or monument, left incomplete by some historical event, such as war or natural disaster, that halted its construction. But if that were the case, why does it not resemble any other temple? And why did the ancients choose such an isolated spot on a stone plateau, far from any major urban center, to create such a structure? Some suggest that it is precisely Aramumuru's unknown origin, unknown purpose, that is its true meaning. It stands for the eternal mysteries of humankind, where material evidence proves powerless against imagination and legendary belief. Despite science's silence, local legend wraps Aramumuru in a cloak of mystery. The indigenous Aymara people call it Puerta de los Dioses, the gateway of the gods. They say that from ancient times, priests used this place to pass into another world, to connect with gods or supernatural beings, opening a door to another dimension. The most famous story is about a priest named Aramumuru, who is said to have fled from Spanish pursuers, carrying with him a sacred golden disc, also called the Key of the Gods. Before the stone door, he placed the golden disc into the small hollow at the base, and the gateway instantly blazed with brilliant light, and he disappeared completely, leaving no trace. Though only a legend, this story has been passed down through many generations, standing as evidence for the belief that such gateways to the world of the gods might exist. Many spiritualists and mystics also believe that Aramumuru is a place of great energy, where those destined may feel strange vibrations, witness unusual phenomena such as mysterious lights, experience sensations of leaving reality, or even contact other forces. To them, this is not merely an archaeological site, but a waiting room for souls where all boundaries of space and time blur. Physically, Aramumuru puzzles many researchers with its unique stoneworking. The main slab surface is nearly mirror smooth. The lines at the gateway and small hollow are sharp, and the right angles are perfect. The stone surrounding the portal retains its natural ruggedness, making the crafted area stand out even more. This raises a huge question. What tools did the ancients use to create such contrast? Why did they shape only a specific part and leave the rest natural? Was this a way to test the stone's strength, a religious ritual, or a marker of some astronomical or energetic significance? Some suggest this stone surface was used for astronomical observation, like many other ancient sites in the Andes. Others suspect it is a marker point for mysterious energy lines, the so-called ley lines connecting sacred sites. Not an isolated structure, Aramumuru is often linked to other enigmatic megalithic sites in Peru, such as Silustani, Amarumaca, and further afield Tiwanaku in Bolivia or Sacsayhuaman in Cusco. Some alternative researchers argue that similarities in stoneworking and the presence of false doors or eternal seals at sites worldwide, Egypt, Mesopotamia, India, even the Mediterranean, are evidence of a lost global civilization that left behind transit gateways between cultures. For those who enjoy extraterrestrial theories, Aramumuru provokes even more curiosity. Could it be a portal, a landing site for beings from other worlds in the distant past? Aramumuru continues to attract thousands of visitors from around the world, not only for its strange architecture, but also for its unresolved mysteries. Many come seeking experiences beyond the reach of modern science, wondering who built it, why, and what technology created this stone gate. Its unknown origin has made Aramumuru a symbol of the untouchable secrets of the past, a place where human imagination and the desire to explore are always awakened. Even as science advances, mysteries like Aramumuru still challenge all explanations. Hidden among the wild, rocky slopes of eastern Georgia, beside the Motkvari River, Uplistiki appears like a colossal fossilized labyrinth, worn by time, but still full of power. This stone city, once called the Fortress of the Lord, is not only one of the oldest archaeological sites in the Caucasus, but also a living testament to the daring intelligence and engineering prowess of ancient people, especially in the way they carved, drilled, sculpted and connected hundreds of structures directly onto solid bedrock, all while defying violent earthquakes over millennia. From the very first glance, Uplistiki amazes anyone with its scale and complexity. More than 150 rooms, great halls, temples' corridors, storage cellars, warehouses, and secret passages are interwoven, all carved directly into the monolithic sandstone mountain, without a single brick lump of mortar or any modern binding material. Each room bears a different architectural style. Some have soaring domes. Some feature curved stone columns. Others are narrow, dark corridors, like caves. It feels like entering an underground city outside of reality, where the secrets of prehistory are still silently sleeping in each layer of stone. But hidden beneath that ancient rock lies one of Uplistiki's greatest mysteries, the engineering far ahead of its time, and the incredible earthquake resistance. The terrain here is located in a region that regularly experiences severe earthquakes. Powerful seismic waves have destroyed countless ancient structures in the area over thousands of years. Yet this stone city, despite countless geological upheavals, still largely stands firm and retains its original structure in astonishing ways. How did the ancients achieve this? What do you think is the greatest mystery about how the ancients built and protected Uplistiki from earthquakes? Share your theory or thoughts in the comments below. Archaeologists believe that to build those grand domed halls and massive columns, the people of Uplistiki not only needed master craftsmanship, but also deep knowledge of structural load, gravity distribution, and rock physics. With the naked eye, you can see those enormous domes still hanging overhead without any supporting material besides solid stone. To achieve this, the ancients carefully chose the strongest parts of the rock to hollow out, forming arches or force distribution grooves to evenly channel loads to main support points. Even a margin of error of just a few centimeters could cause the entire vault to collapse. Yet Uplistiki has endured for thousands of years, defying disasters. Many large chambers stretch up to 20 meters long, nearly 10 meters wide, and over 6 meters high, all hewn from a single monolithic block. The joints, wall edges, and even tiny details like steps, water channels, or altars are all sharp and square, as if cut by modern machinery. Some areas even feature ventilation holes and skylights strategically placed to bring in light, fresh air and to distribute downward force, minimizing the risk of collapse during major earthquakes or tremors. The most miraculous aspect of Uplistiki is its sophisticated combination of natural geology and human construction. The ancients cleverly chose to build the city atop a solid, unlayered sandstone block with no major seismic cracks, providing an ultra-stable foundation that resists external vibrations. The main room, storage areas, and large corridors are all placed in the core zone, the most stable part of the rock. Additionally, they created arched corridors, force-distributing pillars, and underground drainage channels that run from the surface down through multiple layers, not only to channel rainwater, but also to disperse pressure when the bedrock shakes. The side tunnels and small adjacent rooms function as buffer zones to absorb shocks for the main spaces. Thanks to this system, even severe earthquakes could not destroy the key rooms, something even many modern reinforced concrete structures can't guarantee. Incredibly, the people of Uplistiki seem to possess a certain understanding of seismology and the behavior of stone during tremors, even though no scientific theory of earthquakes existed in their era. The ritual chambers and grain stores, the areas needing the most protection, were always carved deep into the mountain, far from the surface where shock waves hit hardest. In the largest rooms, curved domes and stone wings on the ceiling helped distribute seismic forces, evenly avoiding concentration at any single point. There is also evidence of a force-guiding system, tiny grooves carved along the walls, not only to drain condensation, but also to channel vibrational forces deeper into the bedrock instead of trapping them in ceilings or main load-bearing walls. Some researchers have discovered that many rooms in Uplitsiki contain small grooves or secondary pillars at specific locations. When exposed to strong shocks, these elements would absorb force or collapse gently without affecting the main dome or structure. This is the principle of sacrificial anti-collapse, a technique only developed and applied to skyscrapers or modern earthquake-resistant bridges in recent times. Furthermore, the building material here is not brick and mortar, but solid bedrock itself. So even if the surface flakes, the main structure remains nearly impossible to destroy. If minor subsidence occurred, the ancients would carve new grooves or build buffer walls from rubble inside, allowing rooms to self-heal and continue being used for centuries. Many scholars compare Uplitsiki's engineering with renowned rock cities like Petra in Jordan, Ellora, or Ajanta in India, or Cappadocia in Turkey. However, most of those places, while magnificent, still show signs of using wooden supports or auxiliary materials, or are built on softer soils prone to collapse in earthquakes. In contrast, Uplitsiki maximizes both the physical and chemical properties of sandstone, creating an ultra-durable complex that has survived thousands of years of weather and disasters unmatched by nearly any other site. The next big question: what tools did the ancients use to carve stone so precisely? With only early bronze or primitive Iron Age technology, it's incredibly difficult to bore deep holes, cut angles, create smooth domes, or make tiny, perfectly straight channels in solid rock. Some theories suggest they used fire to heat the rock and then doused it with cold water to make small cracks, then expanded them with stone hammers, bronze chisels, or sand abrasives. But to control an entire structure and keep large domes from collapsing required skill and knowledge passed down over generations. Notably, many tiny features like ventilation holes, light shafts, or winding staircases are perfectly aligned with almost no evidence of rough or crude tool marks. Some archaeologists believe there may have been special tools or techniques now lost, or secret stone masonry skills handed down only among certain ancient builder clans. After thousands of years of abandonment, enduring earthquakes, storms, erosion, and even invading plant roots, most of Uplitsiki's main rooms and corridors still retain their original shape. Even the ventilation and water drainage systems still work when tested by archaeologists. Places where minor collapses occurred only show cracks, stopping at buffer zones, never reaching the central rooms, proving the lasting durability of these construction techniques. Uplitsiki today is not only an attractive archaeological destination, but also a priceless engineering lesson for modern architects and structural engineers. The way the ancients utilized bedrock, combined geology with handcrafted techniques to tame natural forces, creating a city both resilient and beautiful, is something modern science is still studying and learning from. Apart from its advanced construction techniques, Uplitsiki was once a center of religion, economy, and defense, distinguished by sun temples, secret passageways, deep mountain food storage, and a sophisticated maze-like defense system. After many historical upheavals, the city gradually faded into obscurity. Many rooms were buried, and mysterious symbols remain undeciphered. Today, most of Uplisisiki still lies hidden within the rock, leaving behind great questions about the skills, intelligence, and secrets of its ancient builders, questions that future generations have yet to answer. Lake Van, quietly nestled among the winding mountains of eastern Turkey, is not only the largest lake in the country, but also one of the deepest and oldest lakes in the world. The surface of the lake spans thousands of square kilometers, with clear blue water that is strongly alkaline, creating a unique ecosystem separated from most common freshwater fish species. Surrounded by extinct volcanoes, towering cliffs, and desolate lands, Lake Van has long been associated with legends, myths, and essentially unsolved mysteries of humankind. A discovery that stunned the entire archaeological world occurred at the end of the 2010 decade when a team of divers and scientists from Van Yil University discovered gigantic stone ruins deep beneath the water. These were not scattered fragments, but rather fortress walls, made of basalt and limestone, largely intact, stretching nearly 1 kilometer long and standing 3 to 4 meters tall, rising starkly from the cold lakebed. Built with tightly fitted stone techniques, most of the walls have maintained their shape despite being submerged for millennia, enduring the corrosive alkaline water and the waves of the lake. Images sent back by diving robots revealed traces of a massive structure, a fortress or stronghold perhaps once defending or controlling an ancient lakeshore settlement. One of the questions that baffles researchers the most is who built this fortress. The age of the stones, along with ceramic shards, stelae, and architectural remnants found around it, suggests this structure could have been built up to 3,000 years ago, corresponding to the golden era of the Urartu kingdom, an ancient civilization prominent in the Anatolia and Caucasus regions. However, the strange thing is that Urartian historical texts do not mention any large fortress located inside or near Lake Van. It is likely that this site belonged to a pre-Urartian community or a local group that developed advanced building techniques beyond their era, yet was never recognized in mainstream history. Some bolder scholars even hypothesize about an enigmatic prehistoric culture, one that existed before Urartu but was entirely wiped out by disasters or major environmental changes, leaving only these silent stones underwater as its sole trace. No one knows exactly why the ancient ruins beneath Lake Van were submerged, and this question lies at the heart of every scientific debate. There are no historical documents from the Urartian kingdom, Persia, Greece, or any surrounding ancient civilizations that describe a city, fortress, or village ever being swallowed by the waters of Lake Van. This silence in the historical record makes the mystery even deeper, raising suspicions that perhaps this was a forgotten tragedy or an event from prehistory when stories were only passed down orally and never recorded. The most popular theory today is that geological activity had a dramatic impact on the land around the lake. Lake Van sits atop a complex geological fault zone where the Anatolian and Arabian tectonic plates have collided for thousands of years, triggering both large and small earthquakes. Many scientists believe that one or several massive earthquakes in ancient times could have caused the lakeshore to suddenly subside, submerging entire settlements or fortresses in just a matter of hours, much like how the city of Pompeii was buried under volcanic ash. When studying the geological layers, geologists have found traces of unusual water level changes, landslides, and even evidence of inland tsunamis caused by earthquakes under the lake. Yet to this day, there is still no convincing evidence that any specific earthquake directly submerged these ruins, and the tectonic fissures on the lakebed remain a mystery waiting to be fully explained. Some other theories propose that not just one but multiple earthquakes occurring in succession, along with unusual rises in water level during periods of extreme climate change, ultimately drove these monumental structures to the bottom of the lake. In addition, changes in water flow and the effects of volcanoes also play an important role. Lake Van is located in an area that once had very active volcanoes, most notably Mount Nemrut and Mount Sufan. Large eruptions in ancient times may have changed the direction of rivers and streams, creating enormous natural dams and causing the lake's water level to rise by dozens of meters over just a few centuries. Lava and mudflows could have blocked natural watercourses, causing the lake to spill into areas that were once inhabited, drowning every lakeside structure in icy water. Sediment studies beneath Lake Van have also shown that the water level once fluctuated greatly. At times, the lake was much smaller than it is today, with shorelines retreating far inland, giving ancient communities space to build sturdy structures along the banks. But when the climate changed, or volcanic activity diverted watercourses, the lake rose and turned the fortress into the Atlantis of the East. Remarkably, this entire process seems to have happened in complete silence. There are no epics or written records about it. It's possible that the water rose gradually, forcing people to abandon their homeland and leave their constructions to stand guard against time and the cold. Or perhaps a sudden geological event swallowed everything, leaving no survivors to tell the tale. Beyond geological reasons, some believe that the ruins under Lake Van may not have been military fortresses, but rather ceremonial centers or water temples built at the water's edge for rituals of purification, sacrifice, or prayers for rain and good weather. In this scenario, the flooding might have been part of a natural cycle. Each year, the water rose and receded until a major change submerged the site forever. Some theories even suggest that these structures were built to communicate with deities beneath the water, adding even more mythological color to the area. Notably, artifacts found around the ruins, from pottery shards and stone stelae with strange symbols to corroded metal objects, all indicate that this was once an area of thriving life trade ritual or military activity. The distribution of these artifacts among many layers of sediment allows archaeologists to trace back the submerged history, while also hinting that there may still be hundreds of undiscovered secrets quietly waiting for the day they are revealed to humanity beneath Lake Van. Alongside scientific research, residents around Lake Van have long passed down stories of a cursed city or treasure of ancient kings swallowed by the waters. Some legends tell of a wealthy city punished for its arrogance before the gods, thus sinking into the lake's depths. Many people believe Lake Van is guarded by a monster protecting ancient treasure, a story that adds to the site's mystery. These tales, handed down generation after generation, have blended reality and fantasy, fueling the imagination of archaeologists and adventurous travelers alike. When researchers approached the underwater stone walls, everyone was astounded by the sturdy stone joining and precise shaping, even under extremely difficult conditions. Large basalt blocks were tightly fitted together, showing signs of being polished flat at their contact surfaces. This not only demonstrates the builder's craftsmanship, but also proves that the creators of these ruins possess knowledge of geology, mechanics, and labor organization, things many contemporaneous civilizations had not achieved. In addition to the architecture, ceramic and metal artifacts, as well as numerous stones carved with strange symbols, have been found around the ruins. Some symbols are believed to be Eurasian script, while others are entirely unfamiliar, reminiscent of yet undeciphered tablets in Anatolia and the Caucasus. These findings raise hope that deeper research may one day reveal the true owner's purpose and period of construction, or even uncover a civilization never before recorded in human history. Lake Van's depths are harshly alkaline and challenging, requiring expeditions to use modern diving technology and remotely operated robots for exploration. So far, only a small part of the lake bed has been surveyed, meaning there could still be many relics, artifacts, and even ancient shipwrecks or tombs yet to be found. Difficult access, high costs, and water corrosion are major obstacles, but at the same time, they are what allow Lake Van to keep its veil of mystery intact. From what has been discovered, the submerged ruins of Lake Van stand as testament to the extraordinary creativity, construction skills, and adaptability of ancient humans, while also reminding us of the mysteries of nature and history that can swallow entire civilizations in a blink. These gigantic underwater fortresses pose questions not only about building techniques and true ownership, but most importantly, about the reason for their submergence. Was it the result of earthquakes, volcanic activity, climate change, or an unnamed catastrophe lost to history? To this day, these mysteries remain unsolved, and every dive into Lake Van's depths continues to open new chapters for this ancient story. What do you think caused the ancient fortresses beneath Lake Van to be submerged? Are there still lost civilizations waiting to be discovered beneath those deep blue waters? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Nestled amidst the rugged slopes of the Orăștie mountain range in Romania, Sarmizegetusa, Regia once served as the power center, cultural heart, and spiritual capital of the ancient Dacians, a mysterious civilization that flourished on the fringe of the mighty Roman Empire. However, what ensures Sarmizegetusa Regia's lasting place in the minds of archaeologists, engineers, and mystery enthusiasts worldwide is not merely its ancient stone walls or venerable foundations. It is these massive andesite platforms, known as the Sarmizegetusa Regia andesite platforms, that stand at the very heart of debate, fascination, and challenge to our modern understanding of the history of human construction techniques. To truly comprehend why these stone foundations perplex experts so greatly, one must first clearly imagine the scale, material, and geometric characteristics of each slab. Andesite is a volcanic rock of exceptional hardness, with durability and weather resistance equivalent to or surpassing that of granite, and it is not commonly found in the Orăștie region. Nevertheless, the ancient Dacians not only succeeded in quarrying and transporting these slabs from distant locations across treacherous mountainous terrain, but also polished, cut, and fitted them into square, perfectly flat foundations that interlock almost seamlessly without any kind of binding agent. Yet that is not the most astonishing point. Why do you think the ancient Dacians were able to build such massive andesite platforms amid these rugged mountains? Did they possess a secret technique we still don't know about? Share your thoughts in the comments below. When modern experts carefully examine each andesite slab at this site, they encounter countless deep, sharp cuts, long channels, or intersecting grooves at right angles, especially the perfectly cylindrical boreholes found at strategic spots, at joints, or the very center of the stones. At first glance, anyone might assume these are the product of modern industrial machinery or specialized mechanical devices, yet dating shows these marks have existed for more than 2,000 years, a time when historical records insist Europe knew nothing of stone drilling or cutting with such high precision. Every borehole on the andesite displays a mirror-smooth inner surface with no chips or cracks, a flawlessly round bottom, sometimes still bearing spiral traces like those made by a high-speed rotary drill. Some boreholes measure from 3 to 5 centimeters in diameter, with uniform depth precisely positioned at key points to connect massive stone blocks, just like dowel holes in modern mechanical engineering. What's more, many square grooves and sharp rectangular cuts even pass through 2 adjacent slabs, proving they were made after the blocks had already been fitted, almost impossible using the simple iron, bronze, or even basic steel tools of the era. Archaeologists, contemporary stonemasons, and professional mechanics who have examined these cutting and drilling traces unanimously agree with technology thought to exist 2 millennia ago. No iron or bronze tool could leave such sharp cuts, deep uniform grooves, or boreholes with smooth glossy sides in stone as hard as andesite. They tried many methods. Wooden drills with quartz sand, hand drilling for weeks using fire and cold water to crack the stone, then grinding it down, but every result yielded rough, uneven, often fractured or misaligned bores and cuts. Yet the cuts and boreholes at Sarmizegetusa Regia are wholly different. Razor-sharp, silky smooth, flawless, with perfect depth and right angles, revealing a type of tool or material treatment unknown to recorded history. In fact, many slabs show traces of zigzag channels or intersecting grooves at perfect angles, tasks that even modern mechanical systems require CNC cutters or specialized equipment to perform on such hard stone. What stuns many specialists even more is the striking resemblance between the cutting and drilling traces at Sarmizegetusa Regia and those of famous South American megalithic sites such as Sacsayhuaman Ollantaytambo or Puma Punku in Bolivia. At these places, basalt and andesite blocks exhibit cutting, drilling, and fitting marks with near-industrial precision knife-sharp edges, and many locations even feature zigzag fitting grooves completely inexplicable by the construction techniques ascribed to the Inca by Orthodox history. The major difference, however, is that Dacian culture in Europe developed in parallel with no direct connection or influence from the Andes, raising the hypothesis to a new level. Either both civilizations possessed transcendent technologies, some kind of entirely lost secret, or they inherited or received knowledge from a hidden civilization, or, as unconventional theorists suggest, even an invisible hand from beyond the earth. These manufacturing traces at Sarmizegetusa not only fuel technical debates, but also pose major questions about the actual purpose and meaning of the andesite platforms. Many boreholes are right at the junction between two large stones, a perfect solution for inserting wooden or metal dowels, ensuring a secure fit without mortar or cement. Yet not a few boreholes are placed alone, serving no clear structural function, sparking speculation that they could have hosted ritual devices or machine parts, a lost technology for which we have no documentation. The square grooves and knife-sharp cuts running the length of the slabs evoke thoughts of water or air channels, or even energy circuits akin to ancient geomancy or astronomy applied in otherworld civilizations. Many researchers argue that the aligned, symmetrical arrangement of the cuts, often running east-west or north-south, is no accident, but the result of complex astronomical, geomantic, or even mathematical knowledge once held by the Dacians, but lost when the Romans destroyed their civilization. All hypotheses about how these boreholes and cuts were made run into practical contradictions. Copper or iron tools easily blunt or break when working with andesite. Fire and cold water to crack stone leaves. Fractured surfaces, not smooth-cut faces, or round, smooth-sided bores. If acids or corrosive liquids were used to break down the rock, it would require advanced mixing techniques and strict control of temperature and pressure, none of which is evidenced among the Dacians. Some speculate the Dacians could soften stone or used sound waves, special vibrations, to split and cut rock, akin to the Egyptian legend of singing open the stone gate. But none of this has any physical evidence. Therefore, the question of a transcendent tool used to drill and cut the andesite at Sarmizegetusa Regia remains entirely unanswered, making it the hottest debate among archaeologists and material scientists. Furthermore, what happened after the Romans conquered and destroyed Sarmizegetusa only increases the site's mystery. Records show the Romans tried to reuse many andesite slabs in their own new buildings, but their construction marks were coarse and lacked the sharpness of the Dacians' original drill and cut traces. This proves Dacians' stone masonry on andesite surpassed even their greatest ancient world rival at that time. Many andesite slabs bear signs of deliberate destruction, blasting, or were buried under new Roman structures, making research and decoding ancient technology ever more difficult and mysterious. Modern analyses using electron microscopes, surface measuring devices, and microstructure studies on these drill and cut traces at Sarmizegetusa have revealed many fascinating details. Borehole walls bear spiral motion marks, just like those made by modern steel alloy drill bits. The cut surfaces show a crystalline structure with slight thermal deformation at the edge, suggesting possible ultra-high localized heat, though no signs of burning or blasting appear. Some samples even display parallel scoring akin to what is made by diamond-tipped industrial saws, making the puzzle ever deeper. It is precisely these unsolved mysteries that lead many to believe the Dacians once possessed lost secrets or magical tools known only to their leaders and priests. According to legends from the Oresti region, such devices allowed them to cut and drill stone with ease, but the secret vanished with the fall of the Dacian kingdom. Some researchers even suggest that the andesite platforms served as energy centers for rituals connecting humans to the divine and the cosmos. Whether it is legend science or extraterrestrial theory, the cuts and drill holes on the andesite at Sarmizegetusa Regia continue to challenge all branches of modern science. To this day, the site remains silent, guarding its secrets, awaiting the moment when humanity finally uncovers the ultimate answer. Amidst the vast valleys of the Ararat Plain, at the foot of the verdant mountains of ancient Armenia, the city of Divan once reigned as a powerful testament to the creativity, intellect, and extraordinary vision of humankind in the medieval era. Not only was it a splendid capital, but Divan was also a convergence of architectural and engineering achievements that far surpassed its time, creating ruins that still astound the modern world each time they are unearthed from the deep soil. The journey to explore Divan is not just a trip into the past, but an endless dialogue between archaeologists, engineers, historians, and lovers of ancient mysteries about what people were once capable of and what we still cannot fully explain to this day. Which construction technique or mystery of Divan impresses you the most? In your opinion, what is the most extraordinary thing still hidden beneath the ground? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Divan was not chosen as a capital merely for political reasons. Its location also contained many intentions regarding architecture and engineering. The city was situated on elevated terrain near abundant underground water sources and away from treacherous mountain regions, yet still lying on the vital trade routes connecting east and west. This choice helped Divan avoid many natural disasters, maximize resources for developing large-scale structures, and at the same time control and protect a strategic area for many centuries. When archaeologists excavated the layers of Divan's ruins, they were amazed at its highly modern urban planning system. Wide main roads paved with flat stones clearly divided residential areas, commercial districts, royal quarters, and religious zones. The heart of the city was the central square, home to powerful structures like palaces, churches, and major markets. Underground passages and corridors connected important buildings, not only facilitating easy movement, but also acting as a security network to protect noble families during times of turmoil. Divan is best known for its architectural works that were far ahead of their time, demonstrating the astonishing construction abilities of its ancient inhabitants, from the colossal palace foundations to sophisticated defense systems and technical infrastructure. The city possessed massive stone walls up to 4 to 5 meters thick, built from tightly fitted basalt limestone or tuff blocks, with remarkable precision resulting in extremely solid structures. The angled arrangement of the walls and the method of weight distribution allowed these buildings to withstand both the pressure of sieges and minor tremors from earthquakes, while some sections of the walls were designed in a sawtooth pattern to help disperse impact forces and increase defensive effectiveness. Beneath thick layers of earth lie the foundations of grand palaces and churches, with large columns, thick baked brick walls, and enormous domes, many still bearing traces of mosaic decorations and murals to this day. The vaulted architecture not only created spacious and airy interiors, but also played an important role in reinforcing the structures, enabling them to withstand strong vibrations. In addition, the underground water reservoirs, storage cellars, and the city's subterranean drainage network all reflect superior technical thinking in managing and distributing water resources, channeling water from natural sources through stone pipes into large cisterns, preventing flooding and ensuring a stable supply during dry seasons, while also protecting the city from inundation during heavy rains, a challenge that even many modern cities have yet to fully solve. What truly makes Devon stand out is its extraordinary construction techniques, many aspects of which remain inexplicable even with modern knowledge. Massive stone blocks weighing several tons were transported, shaped, and fitted together with incredible precision, leaving joints so tight that not even water could seep through. Some of these blocks even bear mysterious round holes, perfectly drilled through hard stone, yet the tools and methods used to create them remain unknown. Many sections of the city's walls and foundations utilized a special binding mortar that modern science still cannot fully replicate. Samples show this ancient material possessed remarkable strength, water resistance, and durability, lasting for millennia, far surpassing the standards of conventional ancient construction materials. Despite being located in an earthquake-prone region, many of Devon's major structures have retained their solid foundations after hundreds of years and countless strong tremors. In some places, the foundations were set on interwoven layers of stone, apparently designed to absorb and disperse seismic energy, preventing the concentration of force that would otherwise cause cracks or structural failure. Besides sturdy city walls, Devon also possessed multiple layers of moats, secondary fortresses, and secret underground gates. Some wall sections had special designs that allowed soldiers to move quickly inside or launch sudden counterattacks. Loopholes and archery platforms were positioned at optimal angles to defend effectively while maximizing natural light. Deep underground escape routes led outside the city, possibly serving as secret escape routes when Devon was besieged. Archaeological digs in the 20th and 21st centuries have continually uncovered strange new structures, foundations larger than previously imagined, multi-level underground chambers, long and wide tunnels, mysterious pits whose functions are unclear. Ground-penetrating radar reveals even more areas deeply buried that are currently inaccessible due to complex geology and collapse risk. Some discovered artifacts, such as bronze gears, iron tools, and special ceramics, hint that advanced manufacturing technologies may once have existed here. As an international trading center, Devon absorbed and created unique architectural styles, blending traditional Armenia, ancient Greece, Persia, Byzantine, and even Islamic Arab elements. Western motif-carved columns stand alongside Eastern floral patterns. Baked bricks combine with massive stone. Byzantine vaulting techniques blend with Persian underground chambers. All this forms an architectural symphony, both diverse and distinctive, demonstrating exceptional technical prowess and an astonishing capacity for learning, adapting, innovating of ancient Devon people. Despite decades of excavation and research, most of Devon still lies deep under thick layers of silt. Archaeologists believe that beneath the earth are still hidden treasure vaults, secret chambers, technical works, or ancient workshops never before seen. Some theories suggest Devon once had large-scale archives, libraries, or military equipment stores. Strangely structured wall sections, stones with mysterious carvings, and unopened underground rooms all remain challenges for future generations. Modern engineers and architects studying Divan are all surprised by the comprehensive thinking and practical techniques of the ancients. The organization of space resource optimization, construction of disaster-resistant systems, security assurance, material saving, while maintaining aesthetics and utility are timeless values. Many of Divan's technical models are still in use today or have become inspiration for sustainable, safe, and intelligent solutions of the 21st century. Divan is not only an archaeological ruin, but also a symbol of national pride, proof of creative power, and the ability to push human limits. Each stone, each foundation, each wall reminds us architecture and engineering, when combined with intellect and aspiration, can create wonders lasting for millennia. Divan remains still defying all explanations, inspiring generations to explore and learn. Who knows, under that earth, how many marvels have yet to be revealed? The timeless technologies of the ancient city are still waiting for today's explorers to uncover. Hidden in the arid desert of New Mexico, Chaco Canyon was the heart of the ancestral Puebloan civilization for more than 4 centuries, from around 850 to 1250. Yet beyond all the marvels of architecture, scale, or technique, what has most baffled scholars, archaeologists, and history enthusiasts is the true function of the great houses, one of the toughest enigmas in all of ancient humanity. What do you think was the true purpose of the great houses in Chaco Canyon? Share your thoughts or theories in the comments below. From afar, Chaco Canyon seems desolate and barren, but up close, the massive remains of the great houses, like Pueblo Bonito Chetro Kettle Pueblo del Arroyo Jungo Pavi, leave anyone in awe. Pueblo Bonito alone boasted more than 650 rooms, reaching up to 5 stories, with stone walls nearly 1 meter thick, curving in a unique semicircular shape. Other houses were equally grand, featuring multiple levels, countless interconnected rooms, endless corridors, and kiva circular ceremonial chambers of all sizes interwoven throughout. This instantly raises the question, who built these wonders? Why did they choose such a harsh location to construct the grandest strongholds of prehistoric North America? And most importantly, what real purpose did these buildings serve? Archaeological discoveries reveal that while the great houses had an enormous number of rooms, Pueblo Bonito alone was thought to be able to accommodate more than 1,000 people. Signs of everyday life were scarce. Hearth ash, domestic refuse, human remains, and personal items were extremely rare. Large rooms, small windows, and enclosed spaces, lacking light and ventilation, were not really suitable for long-term habitation. Treasure rooms contained hundreds of thousands of imported pottery shards, pearls, seashells from the Gulf of California, copper from Mexico, and evidence of large feasts, thousands of animal bone fragments concentrated in certain great kivas, all point to events that drew large crowds. However, there is no evidence for large-scale daily life as seen in other ancient cities of the world. Throughout its centuries of existence, the true purpose of the great houses in Chaco Canyon has remained the most debated topic in North American archaeology. The physical evidence is both diverse and ambiguous, giving rise to many theories, none of which is convincing enough to be the final answer. Some scholars believe that Chaco Canyon served as a supreme ceremonial center akin to the Mecca of the ancient Pueblo people. They base this idea on the dense system of kivas, especially the gigantic great kivas such as Casa Rinconada, capable of holding hundreds of people and designed perfectly for mass rituals or astronomical festivals. The thick walls, enclosed spaces, and architectural alignments with sunrise and sunset during solstices further strengthen the spiritual and religious function of these buildings, elevating them above mere residential purposes. However, there are also opinions suggesting that the great houses were in essence power and trade distribution centers, a kind of warehouse of power, serving an extensive regional trade network. Evidence of imported items from afar, such as seashells, copper jade, and even cacao from Central America, along with large-scale storage facilities, and the Chaco Roads network, connecting many satellite communities, suggest that this could have been the economic capital of the entire Four Corners region. Additionally, some modern archaeologists argue that Chaco Canyon was a place for tribal meetings where treaties were signed, alliances formed, or power transferred among Pueblo groups. Its central location, monumental scale, and capacity to host large gatherings all support this theory. When examining the architecture of the great houses, it is impossible to ignore the technical and structural features that deepen the mystery surrounding their true function. The small windows and unusually thick walls lend these buildings the impression of fortresses rather than typical residences. Many rooms are completely sealed with only a single ventilation hole or a tiny window precisely positioned to catch sunlight on special days of the year. The multi-level overlapping arrangement of rooms adds to the intrigue. Many spaces are stacked in seemingly irregular patterns with corridors that sometimes lead to dead ends, almost as if they were intentionally designed to control access or to protect some sacred or restricted area within. The presence of both standard kivas and enormous great kivas further highlights the complexity. Some of these ceremonial chambers are constructed with remarkable care and strength, featuring acoustical properties that amplify voices and the sound of drums, likely intended to serve mass rituals or secret ceremonies. One of the most shocking discoveries is the existence of hundreds of kilometers of dead straight roads, up to 9 meters wide, stretching for dozens of kilometers across harsh desert, connecting Chaco with various outliers' satellite communities. Strangely, these roads do not always follow the easiest path, but often cross cliffs ravines with ramps built to maintain a straight line. Some theorize that these were not just for material transport, but for rituals, pilgrimages, or reenacting spirit roads linked to astronomical cycles and major festivals held at Chaco Canyon. In certain special rooms, archaeologists have found bone rooms areas with thousands of animal bone fragments, mainly turkey and deer, sometimes even human bones. These suggest large feasts, communal dining, possibly animal sacrifice rituals, and perhaps even human sacrifice. The accumulation of so many bones in enclosed spaces highlights the theory of religious festivals focused on community gatherings rather than everyday living. Despite the large number of rooms, DNA and archaeological evidence show that the fixed population of Chaco Canyon was very small, perhaps only a few hundred at any time. Many special tombs, like the Northern Burial Room of Pueblo Bonito, held bodies with valuable objects and offerings hinting at a ruling class or high priesthood. There is evidence some individuals were brought in from distant places to take on leadership or perform special rituals, supporting the idea of a religious political elite controlling Chaco's center. The major houses in Chaco were not randomly built. The axis of many rooms' doorways and windows align exactly with the sunrise or sunset at solstices or special astronomical events like equinoxes, eclipses. Petroglyphs carved on kiva walls and cliffs record natural phenomena. The supernova of 1054, the appearance of Halley's Comet, or solar and lunar eclipses. This blending of myth and astronomy shows the great houses as cosmic axes, places for rituals connecting people with the gods and the universe. Chaco's influence spread throughout the Four Corners area. Many small settlements hundreds of kilometers away built mini great houses, imitating Chaco's architecture and rituals. Artifacts, artistic styles, mythological symbols all demonstrate cultural unification under one central authority. further reinforcing the special role of the great houses as ritual, political, economic centers for a vast region. By the end of the 13th century, Chaco Canyon was abruptly abandoned. Many buildings were smashed, kivas burned, Chaco roads fading into the desert. No one knows what truly happened. Drought, depleted resources, internal conflict, disease, or some religious upheaval. This sudden vanishing makes the question of the true function of the great houses even more haunting, as there are no written records, no complete oral traditions preserved. For the modern Pueblo tribes, Hopi, Zuni, Navajo, Laguna, Chaco Canyon is sacred ground, connecting ancestors to the spirit world. Stories of the city of the gods, ancient rituals, spirit roads are still passed down, though blended with newer elements. Chaco Canyon, along with the great houses, has become a symbol of intelligence, community power, and unsolved mysteries from a glorious yet enigmatic past. So what truly were the great houses of Chaco Canyon? A religious center, a trading hub, a fortress of power, or the Mecca of the ancient Pueblo, or perhaps all these things at once? A ritual megacity we still lack the data and imagination to fully understand. It is precisely this mystery of true function, the intersection of ritual, power, trade, astronomy, and architectural artistry, that has given Chaco Canyon great houses their timeless allure. After more than a millennium, those stone walls still stand silent in the desert, challenging every theory and answer of modern humans. Perhaps this is their eternal function, to inspire and awaken endless curiosity about the potential and aspirations of ancient civilization.